Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Shorts and Hoodies show here on the channel. I am your host, Stephanie, and I have to this side of me.
Mr. Dash, what's going on, everybody?
Hello, sir. And I have to this side of me.
Mr. Jared and the flock.
Hello, sir. Hope the birds are doing well. We are here to talk to you today about the top 10 fantasy films. So I am like a pig in crap because I am in my favorite genre. So I'm very excited. We're going to be breaking down our personal favorite 10 fantasy films. I'm very interested to see what Dash's choices are and how many elves are in those choices. Because as we learned in last week's show, we made a real breakthrough with Dash and why he doesn't like certain fantasy films. And it has to do with camping, which I think,
Yeah.
Have you reflected more about that breakthrough? Have you really internalized that?
Yeah, I still don't like camping.
You still don't like camping.
Still don't like it. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's sleeping bags on hard ground or triangle tents or peeing in the woods. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
It's like
that's a big one for the gals. Well, see, gals don't enjoy peeing in the woods either. So, I mean, I really feel you on that one.
Gotcha.
So anyways, as I said, we are here talking about our favorite fantasy films. Did you guys have a lot of fun with making these lists, or was it torture for you?
It was a little bit of a torture.
Was
just
it?
a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean there were more. I mean, as we know, I mean, kind of how I break down my stuff every week. What's going on, Baker?
Hey, kitty.
Kitty
You're
cat.
being very much a punk today. I mean, I go through my couple that I know off the top of my head that stay with me and everything, and then I'll hit the Google, top 10 fantasy movies and TV now.
Oh, sorry. Yes, and TV movies and TV in this list. Sorry about that.
And so I was sitting here going, oh, I was like, oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I do like that. Oh, I do like that one too. Huh? Maybe I do like fantasy, but my fantasies are a little bit different. So I mean, 10 through 7 is like all Zootopia for me.
All Zootopia, of course.
All
Yeah.
Can't steal my stuff, Dash. You can't steal it.
No, we gotta have our own things.
I will say I did go above and beyond because as usual, I do have 9 honorable mentions at this moment. At this
yes.
moment.
So nice.
I have quite a few honorable mentions as well. I did also bring my sword for this fantasy show.
Oh, look at that.
This is actually a wakizashi, technically, but it is a sword that I bought in Toledo, Spain, made of Toledo steel. I figured for this fantasy outing, every person on a fantasy adventure needs a sword. So
is it like specially folded? Sorry.
Yeah, it is specially folded. So if you look, it's got the special folding of the metal all along the tang here, and it's got.
You got that from where?
From Toledo, Spain, not Toledo, Ohio.
I was gonna say, funny enough, I have a sword from Toledo now.
Toledo, Ohio.
That's one of my joke.
Because it's only funny because when we were in Toledo, that's the joke we were all making constantly, to the point where our chaperones were like, "Could you please stop with that joke?" So I get you. I understand. So now that we've unsheathed our swords, per se, theoretically and physically. Dash, why don't you start us off then with your number 10 fantasy TV or movie?
Absolutely. My number 10, I'm going movie on this one. Okay. This was a movie that was such a big part of my childhood. From Turtles in the Mist to Wolves in the Mist to Falcor. This is The Never Ending Story. What a wonderful movie. Sequels not so much, but this journey that this little boy goes on after being bullied, and he runs away from school and hides out in the attic and everything, and Atreyu, just everything about the story. The princess, so lovely. It's just a great journey, and then of course the evilness that is the Nothing.
Nothing.
It's such a fun movie. It really is.
Beautiful.
Very dark. That horse scene made me cry. It makes me cry every time.
It's forever known as the scene, or the movie, excuse me, where a horse slowly drowns in a pit of sadness.
Yes.
Nothing that can be done.
We witness the death of our childhoods in physical form.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Definitely
Awesome
a roller coaster of a movie. Emotional. Oh, emotional. And to see that movie at such a young age. I mean, I'm practically the same age as the young boy in the movie at that time. And for him to be going through all that kind of stuff, whether it be the bullying, but all the fantasy. And my absolute favorite part of the whole thing is like when he's reading the story and he's like, can they hear me? And it's just like, it's so wicked, like goosebumps. So yeah, that is my number 10, The Never Ending Story. Kick it over to Jared. Jared, what is your number 10?
Bob's Burgers is a super secret spy in the movie Archer. Sorry, the TV show Archer, I should say.
TV show Archer.
Yeah, the TV show Archer. A lot of people, because I originally started watching Bob's Burgers, and I'm like, oh, that guy's a pretty good voice actor. Let's see what else he's in. And they're like, oh, have you heard of Archer? And I can't get out of my head that it's the same guy doing Archer. He's
H. John Benjamin from Archer does Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
He's the main
Bob.
guy.
Yeah.
Really? I've never watched Bob's Burgers. I have to watch now.
They do a crossover episode. How did you not notice that?
Because I haven't watched Archer in many years, but I used to really love that show.
He does another voice too, and I can't remember what.
Yeah, got quite a voice.
Oh, he's on Family Guy.
Oh, is he? Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, he runs like the quick stop.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
They do the impressions. He's like, hey, I'm Bob from Bob's Burgers. And he's like, hey, I'm Archer. The best.
Yeah, I just
do.
That's pretty good.
I think Archer is just great because he believes all the superhero or the super spy movies are real life, and that's what he thinks he's supposed to do. And I just think that the first like few episodes, like, how do they still work for every 3-letter agency in the entire world? Yeah. So it's great. I love the whole everything about it.
That's awesome. So you're saying Archer or Bob's Burgers or both?
Archer, actually, specifically.
Archer?
I just threw the Bob's Burgers out there because a lot of people know him from Bob's.
I see.
Yeah, because I forget every actor's name, and
I only know his name because he's Archer, and I used to be very obsessed with that show.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Did you? They have a great season where like it's all apparently a dream where Archer's in like Vice City.
Yes. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
My favorite line ever is the snake venom's not going to suck itself out.
Oh my goodness. Dash, have you ever seen Archer?
I've seen a couple episodes.
Yeah.
I slept on Archer. I slept on Bob's Burgers for the longest time. And then I started watching it, and I was like, holy crap, Kevin Kline does one of the voices. And we watched the
Bob's
show.
Burgers?
Yeah. He's like the landlord. He owns the building that Bob's Burgers restaurant is in.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's one of my favorite actors, and that's where he's been. Like, he just stopped doing, movies a lot and everything. And he's been voice acting on Bob's Burgers ever since.
Awesome. I suppose that's really easy. He can just set up like a voice or a studio in his house and just record his lines and send them. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. The whole everything about H. John Benjamin and everything he does is awesome.
He's definitely got one of those voices that
it's like Nolan North
or like Kyle Kinane.
Who's that?
Mm-hmm.
He's the voice of Comedy Central.
The guy, the actual announcer?
Yeah. But he's also he's a stand-up comedian though as well.
Oh, okay.
He's got one of those voices that's so distinct and like, oh, that's him. That's Comedy Central.
Every album he has is gold.
Yeah.
Really? I have to look him up. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want a good giggle, Kyle Kinane. He's got some great stories. They're not the most kid-friendly, but like
oh no.
He's like a subtle Dave Attell.
Okay. You love Dave Attell.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people you love, Stephanie, let's go to your number 10.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, speaking of things that are not for children, this was somewhat intended for children, but stars what looks like the devil, but it's when to cast the world into eternal night, the Lord of Darkness sends the goblin Blix on a mission to kill the unicorns in the forest near his castle that guard the light and bring him their horns. The colleagues manage to follow the impetuous Princess Lily as she visits her paramour, Jack of the Green, played by Tom Cruise. as they try to save the last unicorns in Ridley Scott's Legend. You guys know this movie?
Yeah, you lost me in the beginning.
Did I?
That was a lot of curtain fart for me.
Yeah.
Have I used that term on here?
Curtain fart? Wow.
Yeah, curtain fart. It's kind of like Middle Earth, like when they take two words and they just put them together. And so I just call it curtain fart. And,
Okay. All right.
I was just like, what is she talking about? But yeah, as soon as you said Tom Cruise, I was like, I know this. Okay.
Yep. So Tom Cruise plays Jack of the Green. They try to save the last two unicorns before Tim Curry, as the Lord of Darkness, manages to extinguish the light and plunge the world into eternal darkness. So it's a great movie. I mean, Tom Cruise pre-nose job. So you see Tom Cruise's old nose in the movie. But one of his first roles, he's very charming. He's very straightforward. Not a whole lot he does. It's very physical, but it's lovely. And the costuming on Darkness on Tim Curry looks very, very cool. Yeah. Was first not a very successful movie, but later found a very cult following, which includes myself. So I love this movie. I'm going with Legend. It's
been a long time since I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I think I saw it like once or twice when I was younger, and I just loved it. Like, it was so cool. Such a great premise.
Yeah, Ridley Scott getting his fantasy feet under him. So that is my number 10. So, Dash, we're going to you for your number 9.
Taking it back to my childhood again. This movie was remade, I believe, in 2000s. You're so tired. Just go to sleep. But I'm not going with the remake of this because the remake is hot garbage, in my opinion. The thing that made this movie stand out from what it was the stop motion animation for the movie.
And it is.
Speaking of Clash of the Titans.
There's your Titan right there.
There we go. Yeah. Clash of the Titans from the 80s. It's such a wonderful movie. A great story. Everything about it. I did see the remake and was just so underwhelmed. And I think what it came down to the way they did the stop motion or whatever. It was so different at the time, and to where the new Clash of the Titans just kind of felt like every other movie.
Yeah.
There was no jaw-droppingness, if that can be a word. There was nothing about the movie that just really stood out.
Yeah, it's pretty bland.
And that was what Sam Worthington, Liam Neeson, and I was just like, these are really good actors, but okay. Now the original was such a great movie, and again, this is a movie from my childhood. Clash of the Titans.
Great one. That's a great movie. I love that movie. I forget the name of the lead actor.
Same.
Oh, I forgot his name.
Sorry, Jared. Remake. No, that's all right. I was going to say I saw the remake, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it leads into what you were. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, to each his own. For me, what it did being, I think the original one came out in 81?
Something like that, yeah.
I probably didn't see it till later on. Because, I mean, at that time, I was only, 3 years old, I think.
Baby.
Yeah. And so I remember seeing it, though, and just like how the owl moved. And seeing like the snake on the head, it was so cool. It was something about it that just really captured your attention to where being an adult going into, say, the Sam Worthington one, we had seen this kind of CGI before in other movies, and to where it was just like the CGI for the originals, for me, what made it stand apart. And that's what I'm saying. Again, not to knock it, if you like the remake or anything, but it was the groundbreaking CGI of the original that really did it for me. I mean, it's the story and everything like that too. But yeah.
And no elves.
No elves.
No elves. Yeah. I was just going to say.
I don't think I have an elf in this whole list. I think that's a surprise. Jared, what were you going to say?
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't a movie that stood out. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is amazing. It just sometimes goes to show, you can have an all-star cast, but that doesn't mean it's going to be an all-star movie.
Yeah, look at Gods of Egypt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Let me take that off.
And Immortals. Immortals. Whoa. Woof.
Well,
So speaking of your number 9, let's go to you, Jared. Your number 9.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, the one that actually just came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The second one, you mean? Or the first one? Oh, wait, no, the first one. Yeah, sorry, we haven't had the second one yet.
The second one hasn't come out yet.
That's right.
I'm pretty
I forgot.
sure
It's just a trailer. That counts, right? The trailer for Sonic is my favorite. Never. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the trailer, man, just got to put it on the list. No, I mean, Sonic has always kind of intrigued me. Like, it just, because I mean, a fantasy film, according to the Wikipedia page, is an element of magic, myth, wonder, escapism, and the extraordinary. Yeah. And it kind of throws in some magic, it kind of throws in some myth and a little bit of wonder, and it just, I mean, Dr. Robotnik with that big stash, just how he captures all those animals, and really for what, he's just this evil mad genius that just is so eccentric, and it just, and then Sonic, who's just quick. It's like Deadpool before Deadpool, he's got those quick quips and everything else like that, and it just with the quick quips, that's what I was going for. Not like, not that he can. I digress. Yeah. So
I don't know where that was going. And I don't want to know where that was going.
Yeah. But it just, the movie overall was just a great show. I felt that it took and updated into the future and now what Sonic the Hedgehog was technically back in the day. I just thought it was great. The way that they were like, they showed us what Sonic looked like, and everyone was like, yeah, no. And they're like, okay, you know what? We got you. We got you. So
that was insane. Had that quick turnaround. Like, let's release this. Oh crap. Let's take it down. Like,
the only thing I can think of is all of those software developers killing themselves, redoing all their graphic work again and all their frame animation and everything. It's like, oh no. People probably sleeping at the office for several months to get that done.
I have a feeling that they showed it to the executives and they were like, this is going to be a banger. And then someone was like, look, everyone's going to hate this. So here's an idea. Let's go and put out what we have now, be on the back end fixing it. And so when everyone was like, boo, 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 we hate this. And you're right. It was such a quick turnaround. I'm like, there's no way that they did it that quick. There's no way. They were probably like, let's make it look really bad, tell them we'll change it. And then we change it, and it's like all positive.
Not to be the Debbie Downer, but Hollywood is not very kind in terms of timelines when it comes to SFX studio or shops. In anyways, they're pretty. There's a lot of not good stuff that they do at a lot of those shops in terms of like deadlines and business deals. So, but you're probably right. They probably had something, started like several, the keyframes probably similar, or the anime or the basic animation for the item probably could change that a little bit, probably a little easier than having to they didn't have to like fully animate everything in that movie. They just had to put a different skin on top of it, if you will. But still, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So reskinning things, if we can try that transition, let's go to number 9.
Well, it's actually very funny that you say that, because this is a very bloody show. So fantasy includes dark fantasy, which includes things that go bump in the night, ghosts and goblins and witches and werewolves and vampires and all sorts of fun stuff. So my number 9 is a television show that stars the brotherhood of Sam and Dean Winchester, whose mother was brutally murdered by a demonic spirit, who learned to become hunters with their father, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And along the way, they encounter vampires, werewolf, and all form of ghosts and goblins and demons and angels and even God himself. This is Supernatural. I love this show. I have watched every single episode of Supernatural. The show just finished in the last year with the finale, finally 20 some seasons later. Longest running television show there's ever been, and it's because the god of hair, Jared Padalecki, and the god of jawline, Jensen Ackles, and their chemistry together as brothers, fighting all sorts of supernatural things. It's just amazing. I love the show, I feel no guilt for loving the show, because I mean, their brotherhood is so fun. The car is amazing. The car they drive is amazing. The gun thing maybe a bit much, but man, the show is so fun. It's such a great fantasy premise, and this very human drama that goes on between these two brothers trying to figure out this weird past of their family, and it's awesome. I love the show. You guys watch Supernatural? Watch any episodes?
I've seen every episode like 4
Have
times.
you? Oh my gosh!
No,
Yay!
I'm kidding.
Oh man, what a jerk!
I did.
That's
I
awesome,
did that
Dash.
for my mom. So
You tricked
no,
my
she
positivity.
She tried to get me into that show so many times, and
Go for Dash's mom. You're good.
Finally started watching it. I am on season 3 or 4, I believe.
You've got a while to go.
So I've got a while. I'll
so what's happening?
I'll finish it up next week.
No.
The episode I literally just watched today was the one of the hunters was coming after Sam, and he got turned into a vampire. So that's where I am right now. Maggie from Walking Dead was on there just recently here.
I don't know who that is, but
do you not watch Walking Dead?
Do not. No, I'm not a zombie girl.
Yeah, she I can't remember. I think she played Abby, maybe. Anyways, I think I'm on season 3 right now.
Okay.
I'm going through that and rewatching Sopranos probably for the 4th time now.
Okay.
So
that's an interesting juxtaposition. Supernatural
I try to weigh things out, and of course, everybody knows I can't watch shows that are on TV right now.
Oh yeah,
I have to watch.
Well, just finished, so there you go.
It's over with. Yeah. Now I was gonna try to watch How I Met Your Father, but I was like, this thing's gonna be canceled in a couple of days, anyways.
Oh no!
So I'll wait.
Oh no!
Why do you think it's gonna get canceled?
Not good.
I don't know. I never saw the first episode.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
it's one of those things to where it's like
hard to recapture.
I mean, Friends. Let's talk about Friends. Friends is one of the the top 5 greatest TV shows of all times, arguably. Yep. And then what happened after that? They did a spinoff called Joey.
Oh yeah,
like that lasted a season, maybe. Granted, this is not necessarily a spinoff, but come on, it's a spinoff. It's called How I Met Your Father.
Sure.
And it also takes place in the exact same apartment.
Oh, weird.
Wow.
There's only one example I can think of where a spinoff show has ever gotten better, which we won't talk about right now. We'll talk about it in a sec, but it never works. You're right. The spinoff shows rarely work. Yeah.
I think for me, going back to your pick on Supernatural, one, I can't stand his hair. I really can't.
Amazing.
I cannot stand his hair. I love Dean.
Through his hair.
I love Dean. Jensen Ackles. I'm super excited for him to be Soldier Boy on the Boys for the new season.
That's awesome. I have to catch up so I can watch that.
I love Dean. He's one of my favorite characters on the show. But yeah, Sam's hair, I'm just like, ugh.
It gets better. Sam's hair gets better as the show goes on. It gets.
And I think what
figures it out more.
Too is, in a way, it is a show that it's not necessarily a show you have to watch in order. I'm not saying that there's not a storyline. There is a storyline, but it's a very loose one per each story. It's almost like it goes by case by case,
episode by episode. Yep.
And I wanted it to be like a show that you're not going to know what happens in this episode if you didn't watch the one before it, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I wanted a good storyline like that. Again, not that the stories are not good storylines. I don't want to get ripped apart because I know there's a lot of Supernatural fans out there.
Well, I was going to say in season 4, 4 or 5, whenever they get to the part where the devil comes into play, that's all I'll say about that. But
no, and I figured because they're along that lines of the blonde. I can't remember. I think Lilith. She was on Arrow.
Well, there's there's one demon, Lilith, that
I think that's character. Her. She was like,
going to bring forth.
She didn't work for. It wasn't, she wasn't the upper person. She was working for somebody. Like they keep talking about working for somebody higher than that. So I mean, you can kind of see where it's leading to. So, but yeah. No,
the consequences for each season end up going over into the next season for Supernatural. So what ends up happening in season 3 ends up going into season 4. What ends up in season 4 ends up going into. So it's like a very, it's the mini arcs of the episodes because they were on the CW, so they had to do a 24 episode fill, right? So they had these mini arcs, but then there's the overarching arc that goes along that it kind of incrementally moves forward. So it's a network television structure.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably a show that would have been better if it had like a 12 episode arc.
Yeah, especially when you have 19, 20 seasons and there are 24 episodes for each one. I'm just like,
it's a lot.
oh my God.
I know.
That's a lot of storyline. That's a lot of storyline.
Like 138, 100 and I don't even know. Yeah, a lot.
But it's awesome too. And I know we're going off on a tangent here.
Yeah,
being with like coming up on YouTube and you see them going on tour. The two actors is like they really love each other. And
they're good
so
kids.
much fun doing the show and everything. Like that's when you have chemistry like that. And that's another reason I love How I Met Your Mother is those people still keep in touch with each other, whether it be Allison Hannigan and Jason Segel or whatever. They love each other so much and had such a great time on the show. So yeah.
Become family. Yeah, thanks. So that was my number 9. So we are on to number 8. So Dash, start us off with your number 8.
My number 8 is my first TV show on my list. This is a show that started off so strong and ended not so much. If I'm not mistaken, this show was getting ready to get canceled and they wanted to wrap everything up. This is the birth pretty much of Zachary Quinto as an actor. This brought Hayden Panettiere into the mix. Kristen Bell was on this show. Milo, however you say his name.
Milo Ventimiglia.
There we go.
No.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Was helmed by the tagline, "Save the cheerleader, save the world." This was NBC's Heroes. Loved this freaking show so much. Did you ever watch Heroes?
I never watched Heroes. My husband's a big Heroes fan. I gotta watch it. That and Breaking Bad, big shows I've never seen.
Heroes
and Sopranos.
It was so much fun. Like, I want to say it was like 4 seasons, 5 seasons long,
something like that.
It started off so strong. And then it was like, I think by the end of the run, it was going to get canceled. Let's go ahead and try to wrap this up here. And it was a little bit of a mess at the end, but the first seasons were so strong, and Zachary Quinto is so good as a bad guy, so good.
Great actor.
Did you ever watch Heroes?
Saw 2 or 3 episodes and I was just like, I can't get into it. It felt like a Teen Titans kind of thing. You know,
see, like it's a bad thing.
Well, it's not a bad
Teen
thing.
Titans are awesome.
Yeah, no, Teen Titans are amazing. But it was just like it's like Teen Titans, but they're in high school. I was like, it's kind of hit or miss.
Little Mighty Morphin Power Ranger.
I don't know. I liked how it had like the modern spin on superhero, like bringing some kind of reality to superheroes if superheroes were among us, not necessarily how we hold them on a pedestal with Marvel or DC. It was like, hey, what if the the head cheerleader at your high school was, she had all these superpowers or whatever, and that was just kind of cool.
Fulfillment.
Yeah. So yeah, that is my number 8, Heroes. Jared, what is your number 8?
Well, Stephanie, I saw the shock look on your face. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is not on my list.
Oh, okay.
I just had a really big crush on the Pink Ranger. That was all. Like
Kimberly.
Kimberly. She was.
I'm on the other side of that. I was a Tommy girl.
Tommy, heartthrob.
Tommy, the long hair.
God, how did it stay wet all the time though?
Magic.
I'm not gonna say that.
You meant his hair, Dash.
I meant his hair.
Kimberly.
I was gonna say.
Sorry. PG.
Dash. Come on now. So my number 8 is actually a show I haven't technically watched a full episode in, but I see bits and pieces of it everywhere. So I kind of been able to put everything together. It's called Gumball.
Okay, yeah.
Gumball. It follows this kind of cat family, I guess. It's on like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and it's just a cat and rabbit family. Like it's kind of like Zootopia, but in a cartoon form. and they're going to their
Wait.
kids in like high school and stuff.
Oh, like more of a cartoon form than
Like
Zootopia?
actual cartoon drawn, not that kind of
okay.
animation.
Hand drawn. Okay.
Yeah, and just like some of the little side plots that they have during the movie where you see these small little clips, it's freaking hilarious. You know, like Gumball is the name of the kid. He goes on like a social justice warrior rant, and then I think it was a pencil that like just totally destroys him in the whole thing. He's like, "Oh, well, what if I didn't?" And it's hilarious how they mix and match everything together. It's a lot like South Park,
Okay.
you know, where it basically put it in a more of a kid's format. And so I feel like I've watched the show enough with all those short little clips out there, but like I just can't bring myself to ruin the magic. You know what I mean? Like you see all these amazing little bits, and you're like, what if I put it together and it doesn't live up to the hype? I mean, have you guys ever had?
What if it's even better?
I know that
Gumball,
fear.
Gumball is the one that mixes real life and cartoons, correct?
Yeah, it mixes real life and
good
cartoon.
show. Yeah, no, you should watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I want to make sure we're thinking about the same thing. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, like the dad's like a really big rabbit and stuff like that. Yeah, and mom's funny. It just I don't want to spoil the magic for me, but I feel like because like there are clips all over the internet about everything, and there's a website that I scroll through that always has a clip about it, and it's so hilarious. And I'm just like, I don't want to ruin the magic. Yeah. Have you guys ever had that before, where you see something, you're like, that looks so good, I've seen bits and pieces, and you watch the full thing and it just ruins everything?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings did that for me. I was just like,
oh, damn, Dash.
I love this so much. Then I was like, oh, crap. Sorry, Steph.
That's all right.
Try to legitimately. Okay. All right. Well, Stephanie, why don't we turn that frown upside down and let's hear your number 8.
This is going to be real quick because the boy from the South already mentioned this movie. This does star the most adorable dragon there's ever been, Mr. Falcor, and it does star the most horrific horse drowning in a mud pit scene, which is poor Artax drowning in the pit of despair. This is the never-ending story. Yeah, I love this movie too. I mean, I probably would have put it a little bit higher. I've watched number 2, the Neverending Story 2, more than I've watched 1, funny enough.
Really?
Yeah, which I don't know, because it was always on syndication, like WGN out of Chicago would always play it. It was like the Neverending Story, Tron, and like movies like that, they would always play as a Sunday evening movie. So I remember seeing that movie, and then I finally got it on VHS, which that's a thing that happened in the past, children. And I watched it over and over again. I liked it. Yeah, the queen in part 2, the childlike empress is, lovely story. The idea of being a kid that just wants to hide away and read all the time and not play with kids, that really hit home with me. But yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. And I keep want to call him Sebastian, just Bastion. A great character. It's fun that he gets to kind of come into part 2, because this is actually based on a German book, The Neverending Story, and the whole movie is very German. It's probably why the movie's so dark. No offense to our German friends out there, but it's probably why because German fairy tales are very dark, so it kind of makes sense. The wolf, what's his name? Romp, what's his name again? Wolf is very, very scary. It reminds me quite a bit of Garmir, which is the hellhound of Norse mythology. It's kind of just a very terrifying wolf figure, and it kind of fits with, what is it?
Those eyes.
Those eyes are so
would
creepy.
Haunt me as a child. When you would see him like back up, and it would like anytime like the earth would shake and his eyes would get big, and I was like, oh my god.
Scary. Yeah. So scary. The turtle looks so cool.
Yeah. I think a lot of movies during that time in the 80s were, I mean, I can sit here and look at mine, and I would say half of my movies or TV shows are based out of the 80s or have direct relations to stuff in the 80s.
From the 80s.
That was all very dark, but fantastic in a fantasy way. That was something that was really big during then.
80s and fantasy, yep.
Everyone too.
Oh, The Never-Ending Story. Oh. Yeah, awesome banger.
Yep.
So that was my number 8. So now we are getting into the 7s. Dash, start us off with your number 7.
My number 7 is a story that was brought to us to a sick little boy, read to him by his grandfather.
Oh,
Just plagued with the greatest 3 words in the world ever spoken by a man with that thin mustache, his Zorro mask, As You Wish.
As you
This is The Princess Bride. Inigo Montoya, you kill my father, prepare to die. Just everything about this movie. This movie should be higher, but as I go through my list, I'm just like, oh, it's a better movie. It should be higher on my list. It should.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I have it at my number 7.
Inconceivable.
Everything about this movie, from Andre the Giant, Robin Wright, Billy Crystal, uh, it's a perfect movie. Fred Savage, Peter Falk, and 2 names that we often forget to name when we're talking about this, and they're the first ones you see in the they're the first ones you see in the movie, and the last ones.
Mhm.
My favorite scene in the whole movie is when they have Carrie always hooked up to the torture rack and the water, and he's just like that sound that escapes him is so hilarious to me.
So funny.
Thoughts on The Princess Bride?
It's amazing. It's an amazing movie.
Small bit of trivia that Andre the Giant ripped like the biggest fart on set for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I heard that.
That, like, it just, I knew that, like, the never ending story and The Princess Bride were gonna be on this list.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna pick those 2. So
I don't know. These are movies, Never Ending Story, Princess Bride. There are some other ones on here too that we'll get to that are, it's my childhood. I've spoken on my, not so great coming ups. And this is one of those things that just, it allows you to escape to a whole nother world. And even though, The Princess Bride is kind of set in some sort of like ye old English, modern, but mixed with modern times kind of a thing. It was like it wasn't of this earth. Just that love conquers all, and hey, pretty lady, would you like a peanut? Everything. It's just a great story. Yeah, that's my number 7. Gerard, what is your number 7?
Continuing on with very famous actors, Charlize Theron is one of the most amazing women in this story here. It's a Netflix original, The Old Guard.
Nice.
Yeah. She portrayed like the leading lady, and this story that it's steeped in, I'm a big sucker for a story and some deep dark lore, as I've said in the past, and it slowly kind of tells the story. And there's a little bit of redemption for a gentleman who did an amazing amount of research, and just it tells a great fantastical story of immortals that protect the world, through the entire history of everything. It ties, and I like that when they can do that, when they tie little bits of actual history into it and kind of just change it just enough to add it to the storyline. And it's pretty cool. It's really cool to watch the whole story kind of unfold in the nowadays, where everyone's got one of these on them, a nice little cell phone, and having a digital footprint is huge for being found. And it tells a great, and Charlize Theron is just amazing.
She's amazing.
Plays, just fantastic.
Especially after like Atomic Blonde, how much training she did stunt wise in Atomic Blonde, then to see like the next level of that in Old Guard and these great action scenes, her hand-to-hand combat fighting skills, doing the choreography so believably. And she's such a big woman. She's a ballet dancer originally, that she's just has so much presence. She's a perfect choice for that role. A great choice.
I love how the story alternates and changes, and then because they're immortal, and then spoiler things happen, and it's encapsulating.
Spoiler things happen.
Spoiler things happen. I mean, if
That is
you
the biggest spoiler alert ever. Spoiler.
Then spoiler
happen.
stuff.
Stuff. Well, come on, it's a
Stuff
movie.
and things happen.
It's a movie about mythological things and
Mhm.
immortality. Come on, if you can't put 2 and 2 together, I'm sorry,
About
I can't do the math for
immortality.
you. Yeah, it just I love how when a story is well written with good actors that
Mhm.
can perform the script well, just turned out great. I loved it. Everything was nice. So
I'm probably gonna get another one because it did very well for Netflix.
I am very much looking forward to how they move on.
How
to
they
number 2.
resolve what happens at the end of the movie with who shows up.
The new
I know.
guard.
The new guard.
The new guard, yeah, the new mutants. No, wouldn't that be interesting?
Well,
But-
moving on to the new guard. Stephanie.
Okay. Well, this is in the realm of magic a little bit, but this is a TV show. This is a kid show technically, but it's actually, I think, a very deep show that really transcends just being for kids. So this is about the legend of Aang, who is the new carrier of the spirit that is passed between the 4 nations in the world: the Fire Nation, the Air Nomads, the Water Tribes, and the Earth Kingdom. Aang grows up learning to control air and be an airbender, flying his flying bison Appa. He's then attacked by the Fire Nation. His avatar spirit protects him and encases him in ice, and he wakes up 100 years later to the Fire Nation having taken control of the entire world and wiping out the air nomads. And he has to try to bring balance again to the world, to the 4 nations, so they can live again in harmony. This is Avatar: The Last Airbender. You guys watch this show, Avatar? I know it's
Yeah.
considered like a kid show, but I don't agree.
No, I did see the movie. Sorry.
Well, ignore that.
Yeah.
You know, personally, I hadn't seen the movie until recently. The M. Night Shyamalan in this case. It's fine. It's fine. But
I'll say
the
this.
fans are right to be angry. It's not anywhere near as good as the show.
I enjoyed the movie probably only because I had not seen
No idea.
the show. I didn't know.
Mhm.
I thought the kid was cute, you know, who played what's his name, Aang.
Aang. Yep.
Yeah. So I never saw the TV show. So
Oh, the TV show is so good, and it has the main villain, Fire Lord Ozai, voiced by Mark Hamill. So there's your stamp of approval, voice work wise.
It's got a great storyline. Like it, I did watch, like, right before the movie came out. I watched like 2 or 3 seasons, I think, just to kind of get caught up. And I
Really
remember
cool
I watched the movie, and I was like, oh my god, this is way different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not.
and- yeah.
It's over explaining the bending, which it's not necessary. It's very simple, but
Yeah.
it's very martial arty. And then, you know, this cool power of being able to bend water or earth. There's one earth bender that eventually learns how to bend metal, which is super cool. And I mean, it's a beautiful story. The Avatar is also the bridge between the spiritual world and the physical world. So there's a lot of metaphysical sort of stuff that happens through the show. Very deep for a kid's show. The idea of, you know, reincarnation and meditation and connecting to spirits, and very, very East meets West kind of a story. And then The Legend of Korra, which continues the story of Avatar, something like 60 or 70 years later. Also a great show, amazing action scenes in The Legend of Korra. So the Avatar world.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Well, because I knew, like, when they said they were coming out with a movie, and then I know that there was a TV show. I watched the TV show,
Mhm.
and I thought The Legend of Korra was still kind of the extension of it. Because
It is.
again, that funny website that I go on all the time has Avatar stuff plastered all over it. You know, just like the funny little clips. And I thought that was just an extension of it, because I watched the full TV series, and then I watched the movie
Mhm.
just to kind of get a sense of what, you know, everything is. And yeah, I just thought there was an extension. I apologize about that.
Oh no, yeah, Legend of Korra just continues the same story. So Korra is the next Avatar in the line,
Okay.
because it was in the Fire Nation, then it goes to the Air Nation, then the Water Nation, then the Earth Nation. So the spirit kind of goes through the 4 houses to keep balance. It's a very deep story for kids, I think. So that's my number 7. We're going into the number 6s. So Dash, start us off with your number 6.
well, the one thing that my number 6 has in common is beautiful music with our number 10, 9, 7, 5, 4, 3, and 1 is all the music that comes with these movies and TV shows. But none greater than number 6, uttering the greatest lines. You remind me of the Babe. What Babe? The Babe
The
with the
babe
power.
with the power.
What power?
Power of voodoo.
Voodoo?
You
Voodoo?
do.
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the Babe.
I can't believe I
This
didn't put this on
is
my list.
David Bowie, Jennifer Connelly. This is Labyrinth.
I am
Wrapping
absolutely...
up my holy trinity, if you will, of 80s fantasy movies for me, being The Neverending Story, The Princess Bride, and finally Labyrinth. David Bowie in one of his most iconic roles, no matter if you're talking Ziggy Stardust or the Goblin King. He steals every scene that he's in with those amazing leggings and like riding.
Yeah, I think it's what's
band.
between the leggings, but whatever.
Jennifer Connelly, just gorgeous as all.
Beautiful.
She just looks like she's airbrushed, like, and just naturally. She just has a natural beauty about her. Yeah, I love this. Just the music alone.
So good.
Theme song, but yeah, it's David Bowie for me. You didn't have this on your list?
I cannot believe that I forgot that Labyrinth existed. I'm such an idiot. That's what we did. My husband and I on our honeymoon, we're out in Denver, Colorado at Red Rocks, the amphitheater outside, watched Labyrinth outside in the rocks at Colorado. It was magical. And I cannot believe I didn't put this on my list. I'm so ashamed. Oh, that was a nice little story of why I love this movie. But yeah, David Bowie is, I mean, it's the two things I love. It's the Muppets sort of a thing, and David Bowie, and a little worm that goes, hello.
Yeah.
Say hello. No, I say hello. It's close enough.
It's the door knockers for me. In this
the door
movie.
knockers are good.
Yeah. One of my absolute favorite scenes in any movie. Jarrett, you're quiet.
I love listening to you guys just go off on this stuff.
You've seen Labyrinth, though, right?
I've seen Labyrinth.
Okay.
Nice. I mean, look, I was a late 80s child, I'm 34. So a lot of these movies I saw when I was very, very young, and I liked them a lot, but they weren't ones that I just rewatched because I grew up with Nickelodeon, with Toonami. Yeah. A lot of the things on my list you'll kind of notice are a little bit newer, and I was very much a child of the 80s, but I kind of remember just little bits and pieces. And to be honest with you guys' banter is awesome. Like it's kind of awesome because I'm like, I get to sit here and listen to this in the moment, and I don't have to wait till it's Friday.
I think with movies like Neverending Story, like Princess Bride, like Labyrinth, I think it's so important to see these movies when you're a kid, to honestly really appreciate them as an adult. And it's one of those things.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to see Labyrinth as an adult, I would just be like, okay. But it's that magic that comes with being a kid and seeing and hearing and just everything about it. That I think Labyrinth it even more as an adult.
Labyrinth feels a little different if you see it for the first time as an adult, because I think you're just staring in a particular place, like almost every scene that David Bowie's on screen. Like,
yeah,
how did nobody notice that?
The 80s were a very different time, Stephanie.
Yes, they were.
There have been many things I've noticed while rewatching older movies where I'm just like, that would never happen at all today.
Oh my gosh, like in The Little Mermaid where they have to redraw the castle in the background because somebody put something. Oh my God. Yeah.
Man. All right, Jared, take us to the last part of your first half, your number 6.
This is actually a very new cartoon whose fan base is super, super divisive. It has had a few episodes who are very hit and miss, and who made McDonald's bring back the Szechuan sauce for just a brief moment. This is Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay.
Rick and Morty. Yeah. A crazed grandpa who is actually like 70 years old or something like that. I think is the actual math. He acts more like he's 40 or 50. They traverse the universe with multiverses. And the one thing that I like about them is they will never cross into time travel. That is the one thing that they've said that they will never do. And I like that they live by that standard. Everything is always here and in the now and in the present. It's just some great antics. Like if you watch them throughout the seasons, each season just gets better and better and better. The animation style to the storyline, they get super, super meta at times, which is kind of interesting. And they have some very, very hit and miss episodes. There's a episode with horse people in it, which is very weird and odd. It goes a very weird and odd turn. Yeah,
Okay.
but I will just say that they have some great episodes. You guys have never seen Rick and Morty?
I have not seen Rick and Morty. I just know the legend that is Rick and Morty, and it's one of those now that once it's done, I'm gonna probably catch up on it. It's on my list, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll love it because I think those writers ended up doing Loki for Disney Plus. So
Oh,
I
okay.
probably would really like Rick and Morty after watching Loki. I think it was Loki.
Yeah.
I think I'm right about that.
I've seen a couple episodes. I find it very hilarious that you said that they said they would never tackle time travel
Mhm.
because of two reasons. That one, the characters are based on Marty McFly and Doc Brown,
Right.
and the
Mhm.
theme song is Doctor Who. Like
Mhm.
those are two the main thing in both of those.
Yeah, pretty
things.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's It was one of the things that really confused me because, like, whenever the show started, I was like, "Is this Rick and Morty, or am I watching Doctor Who?"
Yeah.
I was like,
Yes.
I was really thrown off, and then I watched a couple episodes, and then I had watched an interview or whatever, or not an interview. It was one of those movies that made us on Netflix,
Okay.
and they were talking about what things that Back to the Future had influenced in life, and the creator was on there, and he was like, "Seriously, like this is Marty McFly and Doc Brown, like,
Yeah.
it's them." And I was
Correct.
like, "That's so cool." But yeah, no, I've seen a couple episodes. I have I guess a little tick that I can't stand hearing people burp,
Yeah.
and so I had to get past that. Once I got past it, I was like, "Oh, I can keep going and just watch everything."
It calms down, and I think like season 4 it calms down after like I think it's like season 4 is where it really calms down.
Yeah.
But like they really get a little bit more in depth into like the real adventures. It's more of a real adventure. It's no more just Rick getting massively tanked and tanked and just doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Like it really actually builds upon itself. I mean, they even did a D&D themed episode, which, by the way, you're either going to absolutely love it or you're going to absolutely hate it. It takes a very wild turn, and just be prepared for loving it or hating it. So it's
Okay.
No, I know
Is
this
it better or worse than the World of Warcraft episode of South Park?
I would have to say that it's worse because of the weird twist.
Okay.
If they didn't, and this show's PG, so I'm not gonna. I can't really talk about the twist.
And-
but if they didn't throw the twist, it'd be better than the World of Warcraft episode.
Okay.
I like it when Futurama did their D&D episodes. That was fun.
Yeah.
I must have missed those. I love Futurama,
It
but
was
I haven't watched the newer stuff.
It was that season that they realistically only had 3 or 4 episodes, but they
Oh,
were
really?
like part 1. It was like Bender's big score. The episode
Oh,
the
yeah.
sky opened up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they went to like a D&D world with Bender as the knight.
Wow, why did I not remember that part?
I just
Good
remember
beer,
it
I
because
guess.
I'm on it again. I'm on Futurama for like the 17th time. I go to
Okay.
sleep with cartoons on because
Nice.
and it shows and this is one of those things like I go to sleep with either Family Guy, American Dad, or Futurama on, and I was
Yeah.
like, or
Comfort.
Bob's Burgers, but Bob's Burgers I have to stop doing it once they get to like the musical episodes because it keeps me up.
Yeah, I want to listen to music.
But I tried to do that with Rick and Morty, and I was like, oh, I really want to watch this.
Yeah.
Like I just found myself staying up till like 3 a.m. and I was like, I gotta go to bed. I can't watch this when I go to bed. I want to watch this. So yeah.
It's weird that you say that because I fall asleep to Unsolved Mysteries.
See, I bet that's nice though because his voice is really soothing.
Yeah, it is. It is very nice. I think I'm up to like season 6, and I just started like a week ago. So it's nice. Yeah. But speaking of decisiveness, let's see how divisive
Divisive
Stephanie
or
was-
decisive?
Whatever. One of the two. You choose. Let the audience go with it. What's your number 6?
Alrighty, so this is another big milestone in the world of fantasy. What do you get when you cross the Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Indiana Jones with the brutality of Conan the Barbarian? Well, you get the story of the young Willow Ufgood fighting Queen Bavmorda, trying to save the baby Elora Danan with the lovely Val Kilmer as Mad Mardigan. This is 1988's Willow. Had to do it because Roselle turns into a goat at one point and starts saying his name like this. I mean, I love this movie. It's such a wonderful, I mean, if you liked the Ewoks, here's Ewoks without fur, the Nellmans, the lovely Warwick Davis, who's such a charming guy. And of course, if you've seen any of his, it's not Idiot Abroad, but with the one he does with Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, that's a great show as well. But it's George obviously being a little influenced by the Lord of the Rings. This is a story by George Lucas, and Industrial Light and Magic did all of the special effects, the cool morphing technology that happens when Roselle changes form. Very dark fantasy. The queen is trying to find this baby child, has captured all of the pregnant women in the kingdom, and is like, as soon as their babies are born, if they have the mark, she's killing them. Like, just awful stuff. Really dark Conan the Barbarian type stuff. But you have Val Kilmer with long dark hair and looking very, very peak form. Yeah, watched this movie many times, and I'm very excited because Ron Howard, who did the original, is bringing back Willow. So there's going to be a series on Disney Plus of Willow. I think Warwick Davis is coming back to do it. So super excited to come back to this world again. I love this movie. You guys have seen this movie, right? Willow,
No,
you haven't.
Willow, if I'm not mistaken, was the first movie I remember seeing in theaters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Willow.
I've
heard of it.
Movie.
So good.
Warwick Davis is so great. Both him and Val Kilmer, the chemistry.
So good. Val Kilmer has so many like funny physical comedy parts. So he's just kind of playing a little bit crazed. Yeah. It made me think as I was watching it, I mean, not to spoil it, but we'll talk about Lord of the Rings at some point here. But he would have been, if they had made it back in the 80s, he would have been a great Aragorn. Just that jawline. He's such a perfect fit for like a fantasy look. His physicality is fine, and the special effects are fine, and for the 80s especially, they're like Howard the Duck level special effects. The little tiny brownies. So you have the Willow, who's the hobbit, and you have the even tinier hobbits, the brownies. You have the double-headed dragon that's breathing fire. You have the evil queen and her lightning rituals. Oh, it's so good. It's such a great movie. You have to watch it someday, Jared. I highly recommend it.
I think I may have actually seen it. 1 second.
Have you? Tiny Warwick Davis.
I've seen Willow. I have. There you go. I remember this movie. I remember that guy.
You remember it.
This is something we know Warwick Davis is coming back for the show.
Yes.
It would be great if they could somehow work Val Kilmer into this. I understand with everything that's going on with him and his voice now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Those two people, even if it's he can even be a mute.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be something like they could do, I think. I
think, it's something that I would like to see. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know who else really from the story has to come back. I mean, probably Elora Danan at some point, but yeah, that would be great to see him for sure.
What's wrong with Val Kilmer? Is he okay?
Throat cancer, was it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
cancer.
He can talk,
but not well. It's not quite as bad as like Roger Ebert.
No,
how bad he got towards the end of his life.
He doesn't use like a vocoder or anything like that, but it's rough. It's difficult for him to speak, and it's something that just kind of came up pretty quickly in his life.
That sucks.
Yeah, there's a documentary on it, if I'm not mistaken, on Hulu or Amazon, one of those, and it's him and this journey that he's on right now.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I saw a clip for that.
It's something that like he recorded it. to bring people along on the journey. Yeah.
But he's I mean, in peak form in Willow. I mean, man, he's just so good in the movie. So that's my number 6. So we are going into our back half. Wait, that sounds bad. So Dash, why don't you start us off with your back half? Wait, what? No, I'm stopping.
This
I'm sorry.
This movie,
Awkward pause.
my number 5, it's part of a huge franchise, a franchise that is celebrating their 20th anniversary here recently. But I am singling one movie out in particular. This is part of the Harry Potter franchise. But in my honest opinion, there is only one movie that stands above and beyond all of the Harry Potter films, and that is number 3, The Prisoner of Azkaban. So that is my number 5, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, for one reason and one reason alone: Gary freaking Oldman.
Yeah,
it's just amazing in this movie. And this is not to take anything away from all of the other Harry Potter films, but I will say Wired did do a top 15 or top 30 fantasy films, and Harry Potter was on there, and the only one that was on there was this one. I was like, thanks, Wired, you know fantasy movies. It's such a, it was, I mean, we had the first one, we had the second one, and then we got really dark with
really
this
dark
movie, and I think that's what drew me into it. And then Gary Oldman's just performance is just, the man can do no wrong, whether you're talking The Fifth Element or you're talking The Book of Eli. He's just a master at diving in and becoming these characters. He's not just, I'm an actor, you know. He becomes Sirius Black.
He is good.
Yeah,
he becomes Beethoven in one of my favorite movies, Immortal Beloved. He's incredible. Everything.
So more than anything, more than Emma Watson or Daniel Radcliffe, who, funny enough, I don't know if you heard, but he will be playing Weird Al Yankovic.
I did see that. That's an amazing story.
Yeah. But more than those actors, it is Gary Oldman for me that makes this movie is just amazing as it is. It's one of those that I can watch this film and go, you guys ready to watch it again? I can watch it right again.
The master filmmaker at work, Alfonso Cuarón, who also did several other great movies. Go ahead. Sorry, Jared.
Oh no, I was going to talk about something completely different with the Weird Al Yankovic with Daniel Radcliffe thing. I can save that though. Yeah, I watched the Harry Potter series. I like, but it's very passive. You know what I mean? Like, it was the big craze. Everybody loved it. And I'm kind of like you, Dash, with Lord of the Rings. I'm just like, this is kind of cute. You know, like that's,
you know, it is one of those things that I will say this, having watched Harry Potter first and knowing nothing about Lord of the Rings, when I watched Fellowship of the Ring, I was like, oh, she took a lot. Like, from that book.
Everyone's, to be fair, everyone's taken a lot from Tolkien.
But there's a lot of stuff I was like, oh, those are just Dementors. Like, oh,
basically,
that's just Dumbledore.
Ring Wraiths or Dementors.
I was just like, everything about it. I was just like,
Gandalf is Dumbledore. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, but still, I mean, I do prefer Harry Potter. Just, I don't know. I love.
I wish I could like those. I mean, I do like those movies well enough, but
right.
I loved the books. Loved the books. Read those as a kid, and into my teenage years, even into college. You know, read those books. Thought they were just really well written books. And the movies just never included the things in the stories that were important to me, like even Goblet of Fire and even Azkaban. I mean, Azkaban is fine. The way the story unfolds in the book is a tiny bit different and handled a little bit differently. And I'm more used to that version. And so it's not the movie's fault. They're fine.
I watched the books and they were great.
Well, the language she uses in the books is so good. She's for whatever else J.K. Rowling is, she is a very good writer. So
I've heard. I don't know personally because I've never cracked a spine on it.
Very rich.
I just don't like how she changes everything after the fact. Like, years later, like, it'll come out and she'll just kind of go like, oh yeah, this is the thing. It's like, you wrote the books like 10 years ago, lady. Come on, just let it be. Let it stay as it is.
You mean the part about how wizards get rid of their excrement? That was an interesting statement from her. Like, wow, we really didn't need to know that, JK. Sorry, that just
good, like, one poop removal. There's a Family Guy call back on that one. My
Poopers.
favorite
Just
episode,
a
by the
sip of
way.
cranberry.
My absolute favorite episode of Family
No.
Guy
Oh
multiverse.
my god, I remember that.
One
Stephanie, you
boo-boo-boo.
can't you can't make me giggle when I'm taking a drink of something, Stephanie.
Oh, sorry about that.
I almost spit it all over my keyboard.
I just accidentally did a neti pot on your sinuses.
Yeah. It's good though. I need them cleared up.
All right, Jared, take us into your second half. Back half. What is that?
Oh, we're going to the
second half with number
I have
5.
to explain it to you.
We're going to the back half here, ladies and gentlemen. We are
Thinking like
going
golf. Hold on. I was thinking like golf dash. Jeez, you're so dirty. God.
Yeah, the back
It's
nine.
the back 9.
Well, I
That's the
know,
back
but
half.
we don't have 9. We have just whatever. Anyways.
All right. So we are going to the god himself, Idris Elba, the man who is just dark, gritty. In the Dark Tower. I don't know if many people saw this movie. Many people really heard of this movie. It kind of came out of nowhere for me. It was like, hey, Idris Elba in this amazing movie. And this was back when I would go to Redbox and I'd see something on Redbox. I'm like, oh, pick it, rent it, call it a day. And it was one of the movies that I actually ended up going back and purchasing from Redbox as soon as it became available to purchase. I love the movie. He is so good. I like the conflict between the real world and the Dark Tower world and the villain. Who's the villain in it? It's not Ethan Hawke.
No, it's Matthew McConaughey as Randall Flagg.
How do I not remember Matthew McConaughey?
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, like they do so good, and then just the gunplay is amazing in that movie. Yeah, and it's a revolver. Just it's when they hit that perfect casting. When you hit that perfect casting, it's sometimes just amazing. And I just thought how do you say his name?
Idris Elba.
Mr. Elba. Just
Mr. Elba.
Perfect.
Should be
He's
phenomenal.
awesome. He's not related to Jessica Alba. That's something different.
I would hope not.
No. But I mean, this is another really very popular book series. It's a Stephen King book. Actually, The Dark Tower is based on where all these different various worlds of the Stephen King oeuvre, It, and Carrie, and all these different worlds kind of converge somehow in the Dark Tower. I've never read The Dark Tower. It's another book on my reading list someday. But the book fans, I think were very hopeful that the movie would do a little bit better, but the movie itself, according to book fans, is different than the book, which doesn't make it a bad movie, it just makes it different from the source material.
Yeah.
So
I do love Stephen King. This was not one that I read though.
okay.
So I did see the movie.
It's a lot of books. They're very
I
thick.
did like it too. But yeah, I remember book fans going that they took certain liberties with things that were very different than the book. And I was just like, well, the movie was good. So
Yeah. That's like me with Da Vinci Code. I saw Da Vinci Code before I read Da Vinci Code, so I didn't have any of the book. It's a book reader thing. We read the book. It's difficult to watch the movie.
as is one of my honorable mentions here that I will get ripped to shreds, I'm sure, in the comments. But
Ooh,
I
let's
love
find out.
the movie. So suck it.
That's half the reason why I can't read a book beforehand. Is just that spoiling, because there's a really famous book called Fallen Angels that I had read at least 10 times. I didn't know by the 8th time that it was all about it. It was an African American platoon in Vietnam. I had no idea. I mean, the names were there, everything was there, but the picture of the wide diversity, of everybody that was in there with their different personalities and everything else like that, I had a total different envisionment of what it was until like my 10th time reading through. And that's a lot like what I think happens in movies is you build upon these characters in your minds, and then you don't want to spoil that magic. And then when you watch the movie, you're like,
Right.
that's not what, Tony Hawk looks like in the movie. That's not what the Mr. Soprano was. And it's just, it spoils that magic a little bit for you, and it brings it down a peg or two. And
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love reading books. Like the book Fallen Engine. Oh, magnifique. I loved it. It's a great war story. But like, just it blows my mind when that magic is spoiled for you. And I wish that didn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
That's why I don't read.
That's why I don't read.
So the lesson is don't read.
Don't read, kids.
Don't read.
That's
It just
for nerds.
ruins stuff.
Yeah.
I'm with you like that with the Wheel of Time series, which is not going to be on my list because I love the book and the show. It's difficult, when you've read the book and you've invested because you invest yourself when you're reading a book, and then somebody who interprets that book might interpret it differently than you, and therefore it doesn't feel like the same book to you because that piece that you brought to the story as you were reading is not there because you're not the one making the movie. So I get it. I totally get it.
And the next thing that we're going to get is Stephanie's number 5.
We are going to get my number 5. It's going to be real short because once again, Dash already talked about this movie. So it is inconceivable that I should talk too much more about it again. Yes, this is the dreaminess that is Carrie Elways, and As You Wish. This is The Princess Bride. Yep.
Sorry.
Hey, how dare you also love a movie that I love? How dare you? How dare you? Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect movie. Mandy Patinkin as Inigo Montoya, Andre the Giant, may he rest in peace, Fred Savage and Columbo, reading a story. Robin Wright, Chris Sarandon as the evil prince, and Billy Crystal and Carol Kane as his wife. Don't forget that great Carol Kane showing up again.
Mandy Patinkin, it's still just flabbergasts me seeing him now versus what he looked like in The Princess Bride, and I go, and it's one of those things that I always forget. And I think it was one of the 3 times that Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosted the Golden Globes, and they had referenced Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah, because they were like
I think
they were talking about what was it, Les Mis, like people singing in Les Mis. I think that's what they're talking about.
And because he's a award-winning singer and an actor and everything of the playwright, and I was just like, he did something whenever he made some kind of facial, and I was like, it's Inigo Montoya. I keep forgetting that, like every single, because he looks nothing at all. It's that big beard that he has.
Yeah, he's got a big bushy beard. But don't forget, like Wallace Shawn as Mr. Inconceivable. I mean,
well,
what a great
he kind of looks the same in everything to me.
He does look the same as everything.
He will
Robin,
always be the teacher from Clueless to me.
That's true. Yes, he will be Yes, that's right. He is the teacher from Clueless. Good spot. I forgot about that.
I'm
and then
Robin Silverstone fan, so.
Oh, I do love
I follow
that movie.
her on everything.
So you've seen her with her doing her birding.
I'm sorry, what?
That is her birding. Wait, we want to talk about. Maybe we'll cut this from the show, but she does a thing where she will chew up the food.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's about all we need to know.
It's weird.
Gross. It's really gross.
No, she does. I mean, she does a lot of throwback stuff to movies and stuff that she did, and and it's kind of fun. And she had made a reference to him in one of her TikToks or something like that, and I was just like. He's in all these movies. He will always be the teacher from Clueless. He looks the same,
Him and Ron Howard's brother Clint Howard shows up in a lot of movies. They just look exactly the same, and so does Robin Wright as Princess Buttercup. Looks exactly the same, almost. Well, maybe a little bit different, but
Jennifer Connelly still looks the same too. Yeah, they're just ageless.
But the word you're looking for is vampires.
Yeah, I mean, I can look at
Paul Rudd, Keanu Reeves.
Jennifer Connelly in Labyrinth, and then you look at Jennifer Connelly in something like he's just not that into you, and it's just like, is she still 16? Like,
she looks amazing.
Yeah,
forever young. So, anyways, that's my number 5. Let's go further into the back half. Sorry, I'm gonna keep doing it with your number 4, Dash.
My number 4 is my absolute favorite story of all time.
Okay.
This story has spun so many other stories and movies, TV shows, has been referenced multiple times. It has been remade and remade and remade. But honestly, I would have to say, I have to go with Tim Burton more so than, say, Disney. Or the original film done as an ABC production in the 70s. This is the wondrous land that Alice visits. This is Alice in Wonderland by Tim Burton.
The Johnny Depp one.
Yes. because he captured, in my opinion, and again, I am such an expert at this story between Alice in Wonderland and the wonderful journeys of Sherlock Holmes, two of my absolute favorite stories. Alice in Wonderland, I have done this on stage. I have twisted this. It is one of my absolute favorite video games in American McGee's Return to Madness, in which Alice comes back to Wonderland and they proceed to try to kill her. And it is very twisted. It is so good, and getting ready to spawn the third in the trilogy of video games. It is something about, and I think what it is, it's the color palette that Tim Burton uses in his version of Alice in Wonderland and Into the Looking Glass as well. That is something that the blues are it's so powder blue that it's beautiful. The color palette he uses. Helena Bonham Carter is the Queen of Hearts. Is just so hilarious with her big head.
Huge.
Crispin Glover is the Knave of Hearts. I mean, it's Crispin Glover.
Yeah, can't go wrong there.
And all of his, we'll say, uniqueness.
Very, very unique.
Yes. Any thoughts on Alice in Wonderland?
I've never seen the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderlands. I'm just sitting here nodding along, giving you support,
Really?
and I've never seen them. No,
I prefer the old school Alice in Wonderland.
the old one's
Now,
fine
which
too.
one, though?
Yeah,
Because I mean, there's
the Disney one.
There's really, I mean, they're all Disney, and
Yeah.
they're on iteration. I mean, the original one was done by ABC, which is a Disney property, and then Disney did it as a cartoon, and then Tim Burton did it as live action
Under Disney.
Yeah. So, which one for you, Jared?
The OG cartoon.
Gotcha.
The ABC. I don't know, like Tim Burton. I don't want to call it scary because it's not really scary, but like the way he exaggerates everything. I will give you the color palette was astonishing. Like the colors popped, it blended, like it just, you could tell that there was it was attention to detail was on point, but just that I mean, like a live action true to form of what the OG film was kind of goes a little over the top, you know.
I will agree. The cartoon was perfect. It's a great story, and I'll even give it to the original ABC production. Whoopi Goldberg as the Caterpillar was just awesome. All of the stars and celebrities that were in the original television production of it is great. It's again something that takes me back to my childhood. But this is something that I grew up with in the story of Alice in Wonderland. But I appreciate it more as an adult, and so that's why I say I go with the Tim Burton version of it. It is a dark story,
very much so.
but I mean, this is a story that has spun movies like The Matrix, with all of the Alice in Wonderland references down the rabbit hole, and you know the twins, Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
I assume that's the reason why the main character in the new Matrix was called Bugs, because it involved a rabbit.
Yeah,
going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So that is my number 4, Alice in Wonderland. Jared, what is your number quattro?
It's got Hugh Jackman in it, actually. Hugh Jackman is a bounty hunter. He is Van Helsing.
Nice.
I just thought it was unique how Hugh Jackman kind of branched out. Like I didn't really expect to see him in the movie, you know, and then I was like, all right, I'll watch it with Hugh Jackman. And it's Van Helsing. I kind of knew the story. I've kind of seen some of the cartoons. I've read some of the comics, and I was just like, okay, this is really kind of cool. And like, I like how he was faking it the entire time. And then a town's like, oh no, hey, by the way, yeah, no, this is real. And it's, yeah, you got to go ahead and take care of it now. And he turned out to be a vampire hunter. So
figured it out.
Or not a vampire, but
most vampires.
Okay.
Well, but they were called something. I remember seeing this movie, but I don't remember it very well.
Yeah, it was one of those blips that was
saturated color that a lot of these movies, like Hansel and Gretel, and you know, it's like lower budget fantasy movies, kind of had that I don't know what you call it, but had like a layer over all the colors where everything looked like it was in a computer, basically. But the movie seemed fun. I mean, yeah, Hugh Jackman's super charming, and he's a great action star.
It almost felt like it was it was good enough to watch a few times, and it just I liked it because Hugh Jackman, we all know him as Wolverine. You know, we all know him for his beautiful singing voices and kind of all the musicals that he does. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play Van Helsing. Okay, that's kind of cool, big guy. Let's see what happens. Let's see what goes on. So Van Helsing was a nice little why are words so difficult today? I swear I was doing this at work, but I would get tongue cut. A nice little adventure on out. There we go.
Yeah.
An adventure for him to go, wow, it's just not working today, guys. It's not working at all.
We could let you reboot.
Go ahead. I wish there's just a reset button. There we go. Windows reset.
Try blowing on the disk and then put it back in.
I could take a step outside. It's
blast
like
from the past.
Yeah. It's like -3 outside. There we go. I could try that.
Same thing up here in Minnesota. Yeah, into the -20s this week. Dash, you know what -20 feels like on your skin? You ever felt that before?
Yeah, like a couple hours ago when I went outside to smoke, I was like,
no. I'm pretty sure it wasn't -20 degrees.
It was 20 maybe.
Not even positive 20 degrees. It's
exactly
40, 50 degrees right now. Exactly. We're supposed to get some precipitation tonight.
Oh no.
How
are you gonna survive?
I know you can't see, but half my windows are frost, legit frost. But then again, I live in a trailer that bleeds heat. And so
I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I got a refrigerator and that top part frosty.
Well, you see, here in Minnesota, you can keep all your frozen food outside in the snow. You have all sorts of extra freezer space up here. Works really well.
Not if you have raccoons and deer and fox that live near you.
But you have to cover it up. Yeah, I mean, northern Minnesota, you just leave ice cream outside. They don't get in it.
Oh yeah. I did that one year. My fridge and freezer went out, and they're like, it's going to be a couple days, and then we were like, oh okay. So we just basically kind of stored it all outside. It was nice to pack it in all the snow. It was interesting.
That's weird. What I'm doing after the show, actually, is cleaning out a freezer that stopped working. Which it would have been better if I'd had the door open and it would have been colder with the air outside. Anyway, speaking of colder than the air outside, actually, that's a terrible segue. I'll go to my number 4, which is a very, very well-known story, very classic. It's inspired basically every film that's come after it in one way or the other. This is one of the very first movies to be in color, very beautiful Technicolor, about a young girl who's upset because her dog has bitten a neighbor, and now that neighbor has come to have that dog put down. She runs away. She meets up with a fortune teller who we'll meet again in the story, who pretends to tell her future, but suddenly they're beset by a tornado, and Dorothy wakes up in the magical land of Oz. This is the Wizard of Oz. Can't have a fantasy list without the Wizard of Oz on it somewhere. I mean, come on.
I was gonna put this on my list, and I was like, nah, Stephanie got this one.
Yeah, of course I'm gonna. I mean, you talk about the Minnesota girl, Judy Garland, starring in this one from the Iron Hills up in northern Minnesota. Just what a voice. Originally supposed to be Shirley Temple as the part. They had to really fight. Judy had to really fight to get that part. I mean, it's very different from the book, which I've talked about on prior shows. Very different from the actual book, the Frank L. Baum book. But all the same characters: the Wicked Witch of the West, the Wicked Witch of the East, who gets a house dropped on her, the ruby slippers, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, the Lion. I mean, just all iconic. It's not much I need to say about this movie. Is everyone, and it's also, yes, if you match it up with Dark Side of the Moon, it does become Dark Side of the Rainbow. So definitely try that Pink Floyd trick. Play the Dark Side of the Moon as you start, and then as the doors open up to Oz and Technicolor comes out, Money starts playing. So it's quite perfect. So I'm assuming you guys have both seen The Wizard of Oz. You don't ask that, right?
I don't know what movie you're talking about. I've never heard of this before. Was it really the first movie that was in color?
One of the first.
Yeah, one of the first.
Yeah, one of the first. Yeah, Gone with the Wind was also in color. I mean, The Jazz Singer is the first movie with sound, but yeah, Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz was the first movie to display the words in Technicolor.
In Technicolor, is that correct?
That was the first movie to say that.
Okay. Okay. Because The Gone with the Wind is the same year, 1939. And that Gone with the Wind is what actually won the Best Picture Oscar that year. Wizard of Oz was nominated, but they were both in color. So I didn't know which one was Technicolor, but it's lovely. I'm tempted to sing the song, but I won't. So we can move on to the next selection, which would be number 3. Dash, take us to your top 3.
Well, Dash is moving back to television.
Okay.
This show can be found on Netflix. In my opinion, the show that launched Netflix to a whole nother level over Hulu, Amazon Prime, or any other streaming service. This show holds a near and dear place in my heart for many, many reasons. One of which the creators of this show are from Durham, where I am from.
Okay.
Not only that, anytime you saw an overhead shot of cars driving and you saw the woods and everything, that is right down the road from where I live right now.
Really?
I'm speaking of the journey that is 11. This is Stranger Things.
Okay.
The Duffer Brothers went to school just right down the road here from where I live. Durham is known as the Upside Down. Because that is where the Duffer Brothers are from. There's a show on Netflix that would come on afterwards, kind of like The Walking Dead, The Talking Dead. This was beyond Stranger Things, where the Duffer Brothers and Sean Levy, who directed most of the episodes throughout the series, that's where they have gone. Durham is the Upside Down pretty much. And so I have a shirt, if you ever see me wear my Durham was.
I noticed that you had that shirt, and I was like, that looks like Stranger Things font.
Or this one, Palace Arcade, Hawkins, Indiana. I have many, many shirts and hoodies and for Stranger Things. I have all my pop figures of Stranger Things.
Nice.
It is one of my absolute favorite shows.
I've only seen the first season. I keep meaning to go back and finish season 2 and 3.
That's one.
You think so?
Yeah,
First season is good. First season is good.
I love the first season.
Second season is better, in my opinion. It gets more 80s. And I think that's what drew it in for me, is because it is so attached to, because this show takes place during the 80s. But you not only have Winona Ryder, who is, claim to fame of Heathers, which is arguably one of the greatest 80s movies ever. But you have what's his name? Sam.
David Harbour?
Sam from Lord of the Rings.
You mean Sean Astin? Yeah, Sean Astin shows up.
Is on the show. Is in the movie. There are very many references to Ghostbusters, E.T., but second season is by far the best because you do get the demon dogs and everything, and they are quite evil. Yeah, really good show. Season 4 is getting ready to start here soon. Very excited because of David Harbour. Both him and Millie Bobby Brown went off to do Godzilla vs. Kong and Black Widow and everything. So with
Hellboy.
Hellboy, and then you had Finn Wolfhard doing Ghostbusters Afterlife. Everybody's kind of been doing their own projects and stuff, taking a break, but we left on a cliffhanger pretty much, finding out Hopper's character,
some
what
stuff
happened to him.
Some things happened. Spoilers. Things happened.
Things happen. So, but my number 3, my heart.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Love it. Nice choice.
Right, Jared, what is your?
You didn't think it was coming on this list, did you? You didn't see it coming.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you know what it is. You know what it is. You said I can't do it. It will be done. It is a fantasy movie through and through. Zootopia. If you don't know the inside joke, go watch the past episodes. You will giggle with it.
Yes, please do.
Zootopia. I mean, the Breaking Bad reference, just everything about it is it's great. It's star-studded talent. I can't talk enough about the movie now that I've brought it up a few times. Dash is very upset. Do you want me to stop doing it, or
no? I don't. I do, but I don't.
Just let's see how long Jared can keep this up. Yeah, Zootopia. It's just, I mean, it's a mix of like a lot of different movies. Like I think it's great. There's just so much about it that is great. And I know that there's a lot of fan fiction out there about Judy Hopps and Jason Bateman's Fox character getting together. And I just think it's cute how it wasn't really technically a love story, but it was more of a cool kind of buddy cop thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of that. Like, yeah.
And it's
So
fantasy in that animals can't really be cops.
What?
Talk.
Look, Mr. Blue Nibbles the Third, he will say some stuff. He can say some things, so animals can't talk.
I'm gonna break you the week that I go, hey, next week we're doing top 10 live action movies and TV.
You can't pick anything animated.
Oh my goodness. I know. We'll have to break the cycle. So Dash, it is up to you to see how long we can keep it up. I'm not going to spend any more time on Zootopia. You guys know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. Stephanie, what's your number, Trace?
You know it. I know it. The American people know it. You mentioned Zootopia has a lot of fan fiction. Well, if we talk about shows that have a lot of fan fiction going on in certain particular realms of fan fiction, this is the story of a mighty hero, a mighty princess forged in the heat of battle. Her courage will change the world. It is the story of the great one. We don't know if she ever really existed, but she's definitely drawn off a few Greek myths that survive. This is the lovely TV show of Xena, the warrior princess. And so we talked earlier about, shows. Rarely does the spinoff ever exceed its original show. Well, as people may or may not know, Xena started as an offshoot of Hercules, the Legendary Journeys. There was an episode called The Warrior Princess where Xena tries to, does actually romance Aeolus, Hercules' sidekick, to get closer to Hercules so she could kill him and regain some of her honor. Well, she was supposed to die originally in that arc on Hercules, but she was so popular when she first premiered, when that episode first premiered, that they decided to make this spin-off series of Xena the Warrior Princess. Talk about an awesome fantasy. I mean, you've got Bruce Campbell showing up as the King of Thieves, Autolycus. I mean, the chemistry between him and Lucy Lawless is just hilarious all the time. You had you had Carl Urban. This was kind of the first big breakthrough for Carl Urban, where he played a few characters on Xena, but most notably played Julius Caesar, who has a romance with Xena that goes several strange places as the story kind of weaves through. It was from 95 to 2001. It was the most popular syndicated show. It beat out Baywatch, it beat out Star Trek The Next Generation, and it beat out Hercules, which Kevin Sorbo was never very happy about. And the two of them do not get along whatsoever. If you don't know about that, look up Kevin Sorbo, Lucy Lawless Twitter feud. Yes, Kevin Sorbo has said quite a few incendiary things about Lucy Lawless, so sorry, Herc, I don't care that you're from Minnesota. Don't try to take on my warrior princess. But the show is super fun. A lot of the characters we end up seeing in other, it was this and Hercules were the show that really put New Zealand on the map tourism wise. And we'll talk more about New Zealand shortly, which I'm sure surprises nobody. But New Zealand really was the star. The landscape of New Zealand is definitely the star of the show. The monsters. I tried to think about why I liked The Witcher. I mean, we talked about this in our Witcher review, Jared, that I liked The Witcher because I liked Xena. It's kind of the same sort of a B movie, campy monster, sword and sorcery. There's gods. The Ares is a big part in the show, and he's quite good looking. Or he was quite good looking. He's passed, unfortunately, but the show's amazing. I love the show. That's all I got to say. Xena, the Warrior Princess.
I think it's adorable how Xena's got that sidekick and
Gabrielle. Speaking of fan fiction, there's the whole line about Xena and Gabrielle, and in the last episodes, they do make it a little more cut and dry, their relationship.
I knew it. There's a Reddit feed called Sephora and her friend where they're like, oh, she lived with her best friend for 40 years, and it's like, yeah, you're not that dumb and naive, are you? I knew from like
they had male lovers in the show, so very fluid.
Very fluid. I just thought it was dope that, like, because that was one of the things that my dad actually introduced me to was Hercules, and then Xena was the thing, and my dad used to watch Xena, and I was like, this is amazing, and I'm so glad I didn't pick half of these, because hearing you guys talk about how passionate and how awesome you are about these, this is what I like about this podcast, is that you guys Stephanie, the passion that you talk about with some of these your David Bowie, rant. It just, you guys love these, and that's why I love you guys so much. It's so dope. So great to sit here and be able to listen to you guys. So I hope the audience likes it.
I could talk for quite a while about Xena. I mean, another fun fact that Zoe Bell, who now is starring in Quentin Tarantino movies, I mentioned, I might have mentioned, there's a great documentary called Double Dare that kind of shows a little bit of her time. She was Lucy Lawless's stunt double on Xena.
Really?
So I thought she kind of got her career. She's a gymnast and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, so she was Xena. She's been the bride. She's been several other, and now she's Zoe Bell. A lot of great actors came out of Xena and Hercules. A lot of production from Xena and Hercules that got moved over and reproduced for another movie we're going to talk about very soon, which, again, spoilers. But
it's no spoilers, Stephanie.
The show, yeah, exactly. The show was so hugely popular that Xena's costume hangs in the Smithsonian.
That's so awesome.
She's the greatest, and the chakrum's really cool. I always wanted a chakram, but I don't have a chakram. Dash, did you ever watch Xena and Hercules? No.
Wow.
There were no elves.
No, it just wasn't my
lots of camping though. Lots of camping.
I think that's what it was. I was just like,
yeah, they're always camping. We're always sleeping outside.
Go to the city. Ugh, get in my car.
Did you see cities back then in Greece? I mean, they're big, sprawling, dirty thing. They want to sleep outside where it's peaceful.
No, get in a car.
They don't have cars. She's got her horse. All right. So that was my number 3. So we're going into your top 2. Dash, start us off.
My number 2 also comes to us from Netflix.
Okay.
Another show that just brought them even more money from Stranger Things into this show. This show begins very abruptly with a girl and a boy, and they're making googly eyes at each other, and she jumps in the pool, and 20 seconds later she's pregnant and giving birth.
I'm sorry, wait, what?
The weird part about that is so did so many other women that day give birth. The weird part is none of them were pregnant at the beginning of the day.
I know what it is.
Soon after, a man went around and rounded up as many of these children as can be, would pay for these children to keep an eye on them because he thought that these children were special. These children would eventually grow up and be a part of the Umbrella Academy.
Yep. I've seen
as we can
one
see
episode.
Klaus.
Nice. I've seen one episode of the
line of those pops for both seasons. This was just an incredible, just a weird, wild story about a girl who could make you do things because she heard a rumor and she would whisper it. She could make you punch yourself in the face. There was an ape boy that lived on the moon. You had Vanya, who eventually became the White Violin. You have a boy who can time travel and jump between space and time. You have the wonderful cult leader that is Klaus, and then you have Diego as well, the knife expert. It will be interesting to see how things go in season 3.
Yeah,
now that we have Elliot Page as a part of the cast. And I'm super excited because now we get the Sparrow Academy, which is the title for season 3. It was just announced not that long ago that we have the cast and everything, and production has begun. I'm not sure if it's wrapped already and everything. We've already gotten promo stuff for the Umbrella Academy season 3, and I'm super excited because it's an amazing show.
The trailer looked really cool. I looked at the trailer for season 3. I'm like, wow, man, I should be watching this show. This looks really cool.
It's the first season revolved around the apocalypse. Season 2 revolved around the assassination of JFK, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and everything. Season 3 we bring in the Sparrow Academy, which, funny enough, is, if I'm not mistaken, was being written still at the same time as the show was being done. anybody who knows me, I'm a big My Chemical Romance fan. Gerard Way, who is the lead singer of My Chemical Romance, is the co-creator of the Umbrella Academy.
Really?
He was the writer for the show. He
Wow.
wrote all the comics, all the graphic novels, kind of stuff like that, and was co-writer on the screenplay for the show.
Oh,
Very,
Nice.
very great show. So you said you only saw a couple episodes?
I've only seen the first episode.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, oh wow, this looks really cool. And I just don't know why I haven't gone back. Again, just the queues of things to watch on Netflix is very deep. But yeah, the show looks really cool.
Definitely. Jared, have you seen the Umbrella Academy?
I've seen the previews, and that was about it.
Definitely
Yeah.
give it a shot. I'm telling you. Season 1 is really good. Season 2 is amazing.
Okay.
And you would think Apocalypse versus just the JFK assassination. There's so much that went into the JFK assassination, as many people don't know, that is under wraps and everything. But what we don't know was able to create such a great storyline of what our minds can imagine that they created for the show. I mean, at one point we meet an executive that has a head that is literally just a fish tank with a goldfish in it. That
Nice.
speaks. It's very weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like the level of weirdness from Doom Patrol. People have said Doom Patrol
Very
is that
much.
level of weirdness.
Very much.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
But just a lot better written.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen Doom
Yeah.
Patrol either. So
Great actors.
Okay.
Elliot Page is just, she's her character. I'll say her character because her character is Vanya.
mhm.
In for the first 2 seasons as the white violin. It's such a deep character. It really
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
A lot of the stuff that they all struggle with, whether it be, we have the 8 boy who lives on the moon and comes back to Earth for his father's funeral and everything, and he deals with acceptance. He never
Mhm.
felt accepted from his father, or being Vanya, who she's the only one who doesn't have a power,
Hmm.
and not feeling accepted that way.
Sure.
That she was always left out of the group. So it's
Mhm.
on the surface, it's like, it's a bunch of superheroes. Like we have that with Iron Man and the Avengers and stuff like that, but it's a different.
Deeper.
Very deep. That
Okay.
is my number 2. Jared.
I'm pulling a dash here. Actually,
Okay.
I'm gonna flip my number 1 and number 2.
Oh.
Number 2, I'm gonna go ahead and actually The Witcher. Just the Witcher season it's just the show itself. I tried to play like I said, I watched season 1, was blown away by Henry Cavill, just blown away by Yennefer, the stories intersecting, just everything coming together. And then season 2 just exploded out of the cannon, telling better and better stories. And I just couldn't get over it. Tried to play the video games, couldn't do the video games. It's like, all right, cool. We're just gonna stick with the show. And just the way that they tell the story, the way that they hook you. And I mean, we talked about it enough, Stephanie, and in our episode before. It just, if you're a fan of the fantasy worlds and everything else like that, it'll just grab you by the chin strap and just go, yep, get in there, go for it, have fun with it, enjoy what we're about to tell you. So my number 2, the Witcher series.
Oh, Henry Cavill, such a great pick for Geralt of Rivia. I mean, that's really what makes the show. And plus his sword work is so good in the show. That first fight in the first season when he becomes the Butcher of Blaviken, that fight is brutal. Brutal.
Amazing.
So good. Such great choreography. Yeah, I mean, I just mentioned it when I mentioned Xena. It's why I love The Witcher. It's the Xena and Hercules of this like dark fantasy world. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't hit up on your list yet, Stephanie. So that's why I was like, you know what? My number 2 was a childhood dream. Was a childhood that, a movie that really shaped my childhood. And so I was like, you know what? That probably deserves to be number 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Witcher. I can't speak enough about it. He embodies Geralt so well.
He does.
He
does very much.
It's awesome. His knowledge, his geekdom, just everything about him just exudes somebody that you're like, really? You're a nerd like that? That's great. That's awesome. But you want somebody like that who plays those characters because they can go, hey, what if I did this from blah, 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 blah? Oh, that would work with us. And you're just like, dude, just
Mhm.
Just make everything else.
Yeah.
Just
Please, yeah, cast Henry Cavill and everything else. I will go see
yeah,
it.
yeah. So that was
My Henry Cavill.
that
All
was my
right.
number dose.
Awesome pick. My second pick, my number 2 pick, is a very, very different story than anything we've talked about. Well, I mean, it's the same but different. But it's a different realm of dark fantasy. This comes out of Japan, so it is an anime. This is adapted from a very, very popular manga. Story follows the young brothers of Edward and Alphonse Elric, who live in the country of Amestus. Their father, Hohenheim, is a gifted alchemist, but he abandoned their family when they were young. The boys sought to teach themselves alchemy using their father's teachings and writings. But shortly their mother dies. After that point, they go to study with another master to learn alchemy. They try to learn the laws of alchemy in an equivalent exchange where you can take like the similar amount of elements and transform them into other things. That's what alchemy typically is in this world. They think that they are good enough alchemists and know the ritual well enough to try a forbidden ritual called human alchemy, where they attempt to bring their mother back using the equivalent exchange of the raw materials that make up a human body, try to exchange those and make her body, bringing her soul from the other side. That ritual goes very, very horribly, and their bodies are left decimated as a result. This is the wonderful story that is the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So there's 2 versions of Full Metal Alchemist. There's the one that originally aired, and then this Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is much, much closer to the original manga, which is by Hiromu Arakawa, if I say that name correctly.
God bless you.
Have you guys watched this show at all? Full Metal Alchemist? We've seen it on animation. Yep. Yeah, Funimation, Toonami, and all that. People, that's where I first caught it, was late night animation. I'm like, what is this show? This is awesome, because I grew up loving things like Ronin Warriors and old anime, Inuyasha, and fun anime like that. And this, we finally bought all of the episodes. There's about 64 episodes in total for the Full Metal Alchemist, and for Brotherhood, excuse me. And just the ending on the show is so deeply satisfying. One of the most satisfying experiences of story craft that I've experienced. I mean, ever. The animation is very cool. The battle scenes are very cool as they're using alchemy. Edward, because of this ritual that they did, he's able to cast alchemy without drawing an actual alchemist circle, which is a big thing. We learn about the Philosopher's Stone and what it takes to build a Philosopher's Stone. If you use the law of equivalent exchange, what that stone actually is quite horrific. You find out the plot of Amestris being controlled by this shadow organization of homunculi that are constructed humans that have been like created with alchemy, but they have a Philosopher's Stone in their chest. They're not really humans. It's just cool. There's cool characters. Colonel Roy Mustang. We've got the homunculi are named after the deadly sins. So you've got envy, greed, lust, sloth, gluttony. You meet Hawkeye. You meet Father Cornello, who's a crazy character you meet along the way, and just a huge number of characters. And every single one of those characters have a part to play in the finale. It's so satisfying. If you guys haven't seen this series, oh God, it's so good. It's so good.
I've seen it. It's great. It was part of the Toonami, the Dragon Ball Z, the Ghost in the Shell, just all of those, just like little cartoons that would, like, I would run home from school and watch me some Dragon Ball Z premiered like 10-15 minutes after I got home. If I ran home, I got, I could get my snack, I could go to the bathroom, I could sit down, turn on the TV. Dragon Ball Z was turning on. Ghost in the Shell was after that. Full Metal Alchemist, and just all those crazy cool shows that would come on right after school, and that would be like my ritual after school, is to watch a couple of those.
Now, see, that Full Metal Alchemist that you're talking about, that's close to the original manga, and that came out a little bit before. I think 2009 is when Brotherhood came out. So the ending in that version of Full Metal is different than Brotherhood. So if you haven't seen Brotherhood, you have to maybe check and see which one you actually saw. But the ending of Brotherhood is very different from the original, what was called Full Metal Alchemist.
The one brother's in the suit of armor that entire time, right?
his soul is trapped to the armor. Yeah, that's the same in both stories. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But the ending of how it resolves is different.
Yeah, I don't think I ever finished them because I know that like because like when I stopped watching Toonami was right around the Frieza saga when they were in like the 4 or 5 power-up episodes. I was like, all right, this is a little ridiculous. And so then I kind of discovered football and life outside and what it was like to exercise and not be a fat kid. Yeah, so that's kind of where I was like, all right, let's and that was the end of my Toonami series. So
okay. Well, all the episodes are on Netflix, and if you can't catch them all on Netflix, you can also watch on Crunchyroll, which is the anime streaming service, which you can also watch things like Attack on Titan, which is the other great anime, but and Demon Slayer and all sorts of fun stuff, which aren't on my list, but great shows. So that was it. Film Alchemist, number 2. So we're going to Dash and your honorable mentions.
Yeah, definitely mentions.
1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Well, we just aged ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
A lot of bit. So just to quickly run down, originally I did have Supernatural as my honorable mention, but as I say with my honorable mentions, as soon as one has been named, it has been taken off, as has Willow been taken off of my honorable mentions. Well,
I stole them.
Yes. Westworld is on my honorable mentions, the series. Big fan of the show, The Man in the High Castle. If you've never seen that, it is an amazing, amazing show. Edward Scissorhands, which we had mentioned during the holiday episode. The Dark Crystal is part of my honorable mentions. The movie Big with Tom Hanks is on here. The 80s classic Masters of the Universe is on my list. And the controversial one that I will say that the readers of the book versus the watchers of the movie, Ready Player One, is on my list. I am a big fan of the movie, only probably because I've never read the books.
Yeah.
And I'll give that one to you. So it is on my list, though. I do enjoy the movie. Was a large part because of the music of it.
Okay.
That will come back up again. But my honorable mention goes to a movie starring a cast really of 4 people. There are other people in the movie, but this comes down to Breckenmeyer, Liev Schreiber, Meg Ryan, and the man that we have mentioned earlier, Hugh Jackman. This is Kate and Leopold.
I had this on my honorable mentions list. Awesome. Good pick.
Kate and Leopold. If you've never seen it, Jared, have you?
Nope.
It is a rom-com, but it is a time travel movie. Liev Schreiber is trying to find pretty much a tear in the space-time continuum and jumps to before the Brooklyn Bridge has been built and runs into Leopold, and he ends up following him back into modern times and falls in love with Meg Ryan. Breckenmeyer plays Meg Ryan's brother, a very 90s actor. Out of Clueless and other movies such like Go, again coming up, one of my absolute favorite movies. It is a wonderful, wonderful movie about a man out of time and who can sell butter like nobody's business. His commercial skills in that movie are hilarious to me when he's trying to sell butter. So that is my honorable mention, Kate and Leopold. Such a wonderful, wonderful movie.
It's such a charming movie. Like, I mean, the rom-com as a genre kind of getting flipped on its head a little bit. Nope. When it's like it feels genuine, even though with the weird abstract of him being from the past and all that, the chemistry between those two makes that movie. It's such a good movie. It's a great pick.
Wait, is Hugh Jackman the guy who travels back into the future or travels to the future?
He's from the past. Yeah, travels to the future. Yeah. So he gets to wear like tall cravats and these great looking costumes. So
is it set in like New York or something?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I think I may have actually seen this then.
Yeah. They live in an apartment building. There's wackiness ensues of him trying to walk the dog and
I think I've seen it then.
That's a good scene.
Yeah. And it literally just hit me that is
a fantasy movie,
essentially Wolverine and Sabretooth from the Origins movie.
That's true.
Same
Maybe
movie.
it's one of their
Oh,
stories.
It's an origin, or it was one of the origins. Yeah,
Yeah, one of the
It
origin
literally
origins.
just hit me. I was like, they were in Origins together. Weird.
Mhm.
All right, Jared, what is your honorable mention?
So with how I kind of mentioned earlier, fantasy films often involve an element of magic, myth, wonder, escapism, and the extraordinary. My honorable mention goes to, I guess we'll just call it out there, but like Star Trek and Stargate. Those are kind of the two honorable mentions that I have. I'm gonna have to pick Stargate over everything. This was the first iteration of my dad letting me stay up late to watch a TV show. During the week, he had his shows that would come on, and he'd just be like, "Go to bed." And one day, I remember I came out and I was like, "What are you watching, Dad?" He's like, "Oh, it's Stargate." And we started to watch it, and I kind of learned about everybody. The Lieutenant Colonel, that guy who's and the
MacGyver.
Yeah, MacGyver. Yeah, MacGyver. And just, I remember staying up late watching it with my dad all the time. And it didn't matter what day of the week it was. It didn't matter if it was rerun. It didn't matter what it was. I got to stay up late and spend time with my dad. And this was like my first journey into, the fantasy world. And it was great. It was fantastical. And I think that's half the reason why when Firefly came out, I was like, I'm on that. I am on that so fast. And so to my dad for allowing me to stay up late and watch watch these movies and these TV shows. That's probably why I didn't do so good in school. But you know what?
Yeah.
I got to spend some time with my dad and I loved it. So.
Yeah, what's more important at the end of the day? Really, I mean, none of those grades mean crap. Sorry, kids. They mean nothing.
I was a CD student in high school and somehow I was getting A's in college, which was really weird to see. Because I remember my first report card, they're like, "Hey, you're doing great, Jared." It's like, I'm not doing anything special. They're like, "Yeah, you're doing the work. That's half of it." It's like, oh, okay. This is weird. School was weird.
I thought knowing was half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle.
Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Stephanie, let's move on from my hokey honorable mention and let's go forward.
Well, there's gonna be some hokiness going on. I too am like Dash in that I have several honorable mentions. One of them I've already mentioned earlier, which is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I loved that show as a kid. That was my show up until the point where Aisha and the replacements for the yellow and black and blue Ranger and Kimberly left, but Tommy came back on as the White Ranger. I love the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Into the Woods. If we're going to talk about some Stephen Sondheim, a wonderful Into the Woods adaptation with Meryl Streep as the witch and James Corden. I thought that was great. Dota Dragon's Blood, which is based on Defense of the Ancients, the game. That anime is very, very good. Legend of the Seeker, which is another Xena Hercules try to rip off based on the Sword of Truth novel series, which is Ayn Rand in the fantasy world. Make of that what you will. It's a cool show, though. The Golden Compass, the movie originally based on His Dark Materials, which I like Golden Compass better. I think those characters, Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman, fit those roles better. Attack on Titan, which is, I mentioned before, Star Wars, technically a fantasy movie. I didn't put it on my list because it's more of a space whatever to me. Jumanji, Game of Thrones. I have Masters of the Universe on my list as well. I have Charmed as a honorable mention. One of the greatest shows of the 90s and 2000s with Shannon Doherty and with the great Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano. But my actual honorable mention, I also have How to Train Your Dragon as a possible honorable mention, but besides The Witcher 3 video game, which I can't really name as a TV or movie, so I won't list it as my honorable mention, my real honorable mention is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I love this movie. Gene Wilder is so wonderful. I mean, it's a scary Roald Dahl, again, being very scary. This is a great version of it. I like this better than the Johnny Depp version. People may like that one better. But the original is still the best. The kid getting stuck in the chocolate fountain. Violet, you're turning violet. The kid being transported, trying to be teleported from one place to the other, which is really fun.
Please stop. Best line in the whole movie.
Oh yeah, no, please stop. Like, I don't want you. Yeah, like, please go hurt yourself. Get out of here. Oh, such great line delivery by Gene Wilder. And then that beautiful song, "Come with me and you'll see, in a world of pure imagination." imagination. It's a beautiful song. His singing is so gorgeous. Yeah, I love that movie. Willy Wonka.
Yeah, that I would definitely go Wilder over Depp.
Yeah.
But there's something about Willy Wonka. There's something about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the book.
Yeah.
It's very similar to me. It's like
a
a
bit
parallel
darker.
between Alice in Wonderland as well.
Sure.
The dark and twistedness of it. I do prefer Gene Wilder's version. But if we're going to go story, I mean, Tim Burton's
it's pretty.
nailed the story perfectly, as the book did, as the book told us.
I think it's like a book, kind of like a book reader thing. If I hadn't seen the Gene Wilder version, maybe I would have felt differently about the Johnny Depp version. But because I love that movie so much, it was kind of like watching The Lion King.
It was very weird because, I mean, as much as we sit here and watch movies and we talk about books that are made into movies, it's eerily, it's one of the closest adaptations from a book to film, to where it's like, wow, like you really did everything in that movie. Like, I don't know, it's weird, but I do prefer Wilder over Depp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never read the book, so I don't know which one of those is more accurate. Although isn't it Christopher Lee? Doesn't he play like his dentist father, his scary dentist father, right?
Yeah.
Which that's a good touch. I like that.
Yeah.
Won't be the last time we'd mention Christopher Lee. Spoilers. So, anyways, my honorable mention was that. Dash, let's go to your number one.
My number one has kind of halfway been mentioned. Halfway during this list, in kind of a segue of one of Jared's one of his picks. This movie, along with The Neverending Story, The Princess Bride, Labyrinth, Alice in Wonderland, these are all movies that are part of my childhood and made me and molded me into the person I am now, movie wise. If I would have had a best friend like this, people would have asked way too many questions. I don't understand why those questions weren't asked more in this movie or in this trilogy. This arguably is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. I'm happy to have this on my list. I am happy to talk about this movie in a way, because this is a movie that cannot be remade. It is not able to be remade, at least until everybody has passed from the original trilogy. But more than any of them, this is the sequel. This is Back to the Future 2. At a time growing up in the 80s, the future was all the rage of what we talked about as kids, what we're going to be like. You know, we were talking about flying cars and everything. And this movie gave us what we wanted to see. I mean, in this movie, they went all the way to the year 2015, which was 6 years ago.
Wow.
And I still drove my Volkswagen on the ground today.
Lies. All lies. They lied to us. They lied to us.
The weird relationship between Marty and Doc Brown, the age difference,
I mean,
it's just very weird. Nobody raised any questions. I figured of all people, Mr. Strickland would have brought up something about that, but never did. He just wanted to let him know that you're never going to amount to nothing, just like your father did. You're a slacker.
So mean. Yeah.
But yeah, more than any, I love the first one. I mean, it was a great movie. The third one I thought was amazing as well. But the second one gave us what we wanted, which was a look into the future. Back to the Future 2, my absolute favorite franchise that there is. It is just
a great, perfect. What an awesome trilogy! All three of those movies.
Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Tom Wilson, Crispin Glover.
Have you ever seen the scenes with the original Marty McFly in them? With I think it was Eric. Was it Eric Stoltz? There we go.
He is so different. He is still in the movie.
Is he? The back of his head.
The back of his head during the diner scene in the first movie is he is still in there. I mean, it's as much as what's her name was still in the Amazing Spider-Man. is MJ. She's in there for one shot in the back of her head. In the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
MJ,
looking at the movie as it is now, could you imagine Eric Stoltz and Christopher Lloyd? I couldn't. I really couldn't, because all I can think of when I think of Eric Stoltz is The Mask. Or, Mask, not The Mask.
Yeah, I was like, he's in The Mask?
No, that's all I see is him and Cher together, and and he has the prosthetic on. I can't picture him in that role. Yeah, he was in Mask.
Oh, I forgot about that movie. Oh my gosh.
It's a great movie too.
Yeah. Wow.
But no, I mean, this is the movie, and then the schedule that Michael J. Fox had to go through while he was still filming Family Ties in the morning.
Crazy.
At night, he was filming, the first Back to the Future, was barely getting any sleep except in the car on the way to, each shot or to each show and movie was amazing. And then, of course, his career took off after that with all the movies, Doc Hollywood, Secret of My Success, which is probably my favorite Michael J. Fox movie.
Nice.
Other than Back to the Future, of course. But yeah, that is my number one, Back to the Future 2. Jared, what is your number one?
Tick tock, tick tock. Who's afraid of the big bad clock? Hook. With the late, great legend himself, Robin Williams. And a man who I didn't even know was in the movie, Dustin Hoffman as Hook himself.
Mm-hmm.
I loved everything about this movie, from Robin Williams discovering his childhood again, from discovering the children again, the Dustin Hoffman just idolizing Hook and what it is to be just kind of, you can do whatever you want. This is your world. And he's just, even his sidekick, that just, it's so good.
Shmee.
It's so Smeagol.
No, not Smee.
Not Smeagol. Yeah, Smee. Jesus.
Bob Hoskins. The great Bob Hoskins is Smee.
My brain does not want to work today. My brain does not. Yes,
that would have been a very different movie.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie.
Peter Pan. Hey, precious.
Hey, precious.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just, everything about it, and it just that mohawk. How did they do that?
Oh.
Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell.
Oh, she's so
know.
cute. Oh my gosh, she's so cute.
The great Glenn Close as a pirate in the background.
Oh, that's right.
All made up, dressed up like a man. Yeah.
Wow.
Pulling like a Daniel
Crazy.
Craig in Star Wars kind of
sure,
thing.
In the background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just, this movie was I remember watching it as a child, and I was just like, yep, nope, that's it. I'm done. I'm good to go. But then again, I count myself. I was not fully an adult until I was 22. I was still a child after 21 and below.
None of us ever really grow up. It's adulthood's a myth.
We're always
none of us know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah,
I was so young and dumb. It just I did like.
Now we're just old and dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
Go from young and dumb to old and dumb.
I wake up, stagger over to my desk, and I pretend to know what I'm doing every day. But Hook just, because I remember when I heard the news about Williams, and his untimely passing, I remember it was like a week later. I saw something about Hook on YouTube, and I was like, you know what? That's it. Downloaded, bought it, digitally, and I rewatched it at least a dozen times.
So good.
Then, so
Dustin Hoffman is so good as Captain Hook in that movie.
Good. Chewing scenery left and right. It's so good.
It was, the one small complaint is that the crocodile was technically dead, and I remember
it was a big clock tower.
Yeah, the big clock tower. I remember in the movie he was alive, and but it was cool how he.
But this is several years later, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is old Peter Pan. So
it's old Peter Pan.
Yeah,
but
it kind of makes sense.
I like how they made the crocodile just this bigger than life croc, and it's just like, that's how a kid would see a crocodile, so it just magnifique. Just
magnifique.
Take us away, Stephanie, to yours.
Well, do you guys want to take a guess what my number one movie on my fantasy list, maybe. Let's see if you can guess from the actors that I name that are in this movie. Let's see here. We've got Mr. Carl Urban. We've got Bernard Hill. We've got Miranda Otto, John Noble, David Wenham, Kate Blanchett, Hugo Weaving, Liv Tyler, Sir Christopher Lee, Brad Dourif, Martin Sakis, John Rhys-Davies, Ian Holm, Carl Urban, as I said, Sean Bean's greatest death scene, in my personal opinion, Andy Serkis as the creature Gollum or Smeagol, as you mentioned, the Nazgul riding fell beasts, Ian McKellen, Billy Boyd, Dominic Monaghan, Rudy himself, Sean Astin, and the beautiful Elijah Wood as Mr. Frodo Baggins. I mean, come on. Yeah, also there were eagles that ain't nobody's carrier service. And there's a whole reason why the eagles didn't take the ring to Mordor in The Lord of the Rings. Of course, I'm picking The Lord of the Rings as my number one film. This is the movie I know more about than any other film that's ever existed. I know every behind the scenes thing. I know every intricacy of how they made the movie. I know all of the, watched every commentary of this movie because, as I mentioned before on the show, when I was in college and these movies came out, I could not afford cable, but I did have a DVD player. So my study in the background was every iteration of the Lord of the Rings extended edition movies, either with commentary or the behind the scenes documentaries, which are really great, which we've seen now with Peter Jackson making the Get Back Beatles documentary, that he's a very, very great documentary filmmaker. I mean, I don't know how much I really have to say about this beautiful, wonderful story. Yes, it's not exactly the same as the book, which I also love. You mentioned your dad gave you the love of Stargate. My mother definitely gave me the love of Lord of the Rings as we drive back and forth to her work, which is a very long trip. She worked a long ways away. We would always listen to the Lord of the Rings on book tape. And so when the movie actually came out, I get to watch it, call my mom, like, oh my gosh, they got the ring race just look just like the book, and Frodo looks just like the book, and Gandalf, everything, Bag End looks just like Bag End. Oh my God, everything looks the same. It was so crazy. The set design and the cinematography and everything, the special effects. I know about the massive technology that went behind creating all these army of orcs and uruks. The Battle of Helm's Deep is incredible. The Battle of Pelennor Fields with the elephants charging and the last charge of the Rohirrim, and Eowyn versus the Witch King of Angmar. I mean, I love these movies so much. So I could talk about them forever and I won't.
I do have to ask you one question, Stephanie.
Yes.
With you knowing everything there is to know about Lord of the Rings,
just about,
how sad were you? How sad were you to go, this is as much knowledge as I can take in. I know everything there is to know about Lord of the Rings.
Well, I know everything there is to know about the Lord of the Rings, the movies. Now, the books, which I have read several times, those I definitely used to, I know quite a bit about them, obviously.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
I've played the Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit. I do pretty well at Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit. I don't know everything about the whole Tolkien world. I have read the Silmarillion. I've obviously read The Hobbit when I was a kid. I read The Hobbit. So I know all of the stories, every single character, Thangorodrim and all this stuff from the Silmarillion. I know it well enough. The story of Feanor and the Battle of the Silmarils and all that old stuff. All I know is that Tolkien started to write The Lord of the Rings when he was sitting in the trenches of the Battle of the Somme in World War I. He and C.S. Lewis both were sent off to World War I. Two of their friends never made it back. It changed them forever. They both wrote these fantasy stories as kind of a working through their post-traumatic stress of being in the Battle of the Somme. And they're gorgeous stories. They're about the battle of industrialization destroying the natural world, which Tolkien very much saw in England at the time that he was writing these stories. He saw this beautiful English countryside slowly being decimated by the forward march of industrialization, and very much the orcs and Saruman and Sauron represent that destruction of the beautiful natural world at the expense of, just heavy industrialization. That very much is the story that Tolkien wanted to tell. And of course, the idea of the hobbits, the smallest people among us, being the bravest. And Dash, just in case you wanted to bring this up, the reason why the Eagles could not take the ring into Mordor is because the Dark Lord would very much spot them. And the whole purpose of the mission is secrecy and stealth. They're trying to sneak the ring because they have to take it to a very specific part of Mount Doom. They have to throw it into the crack of Doom is what it's called. where it was actually forged, it wouldn't be destroyed anywhere else. The eagles couldn't get into the tunnel where it was. They'd have to have a rider. If they had a rider, they couldn't go high enough to avoid the fell beasts and the archers and Sauron's own power and Sauron going after them. They're very conspicuous. And also, nobody wants to go to Mordor. I don't blame the eagles. Frodo was very brave to decide to do it. So that's why the eagles.
That sounds all very convenient. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The Dark Lord would have seen them, and he would have known.
Eagles? Those ground eagles could have taken them.
There are no ground eagles
he
in
didn't
this
talk
world.
about the ground. No, they're ground eagles. They just didn't.
They decided not to have the eagles take the ring because it would be too conspicuous. They needed to sneak the ring in, and it's very. Those eagles are enormous. They're enormous.
Yeah, but Stephanie,
eagles.
you could skim across the ground right below radar. Yeah. That's what we do all the time now.
The fell beast would see that coming a mile away. The Dark Lord would see them coming a mile away. They had to have the hobbits do it because it had to be a sneak attack to get in there. He couldn't know where the ring was. He's searching for the ring the whole time. He has no idea. The misdirection of the other hobbits having it and going to Sauron. I mean, that's all of this stuff is misdirection. And the story's messy, fine, whatever. But in the end, Samwise carries Frodo up the mountain. If I can't carry it for you, then I'll carry you. Rudy.
Good news. I love that. I remember that it's a very paraphrased here, but they have Pippin. But good news, Pippin doesn't know anything. Or no, who's the? Remember? No,
I'm blank. What?
No, who the four hobbits? Who were they?
Yep, they were Pippin, Meriadoc.
Yeah,
Pippin, Merry, Sam, and Frodo.
Yeah, when Pippin and Merry were captured by the orcs, right?
The Uruk-hai.
Remember?
Yep.
Yeah, the Uruk-hai. They're like, hey, the bad news is it was the little small little tumble players. They're like, hey, Pippin and Merry have been captured. And the orcs and the Dark Lord know everything Pippin and Merry know. But the good news is Pippin and Merry don't know anything.
They don't know anything. No.
See? I know a little bit.
Well,
I thought he was talking about Michael Jordan and the Bulls.
And I'm just going to talk over Dash because I don't even want to hear it. Pippin actually possibly being the ring bearer is a part of the story as he grabs the Palantir, and so the Dark Lord thinks he's the one that has the ring, so that's why he has to go to Gondor. Dash is like, I'm so out.
We need to just, Stephanie,
I could talk about this movie forever.
Yeah, before we turn this into the Lord of the Rings episode.
Yeah, I know. I gotta stop.
A fantasy, not Lord of the Rings.
Yes, it is fantasy, but that is obviously my number one. I love those movies. I make no apologies about it. They're the greatest movies ever. So, The Lord of the Rings.
What a
I know, right? Dash, did you even have to write down her number one, or were you just like, yep, I know it's Lord of the Rings already?
I already got it. I had it written down. I had it written down before. I had it written down before I even said mine.
And just
number 10.
To support my argument of why it was still the movie with the highest ever number of Oscars won, which is The Return of the King. So, I mean, if the Oscars aren't a good enough source of that they're good movies, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean, what?
Sure, right.
I don't believe in any of that nonsense, but all right.
But anyways, yes. A big shocker, I know.
Take us home.
Alrighty. Well, that was our fantasy movie and TV list. Sorry. Thanks for letting me nerd out a little bit there, gentlemen. I appreciate it. So let us know what your top 10 fantasy TV or movies are in the comments below. Please do that. And if you like this video, please like our video. It's very important for the algorithm. If YouTube knows that you like it, they'll want to share our videos with other people and spread the word. Hey, why not share this video with your friends? See what their top 10 fantasy TV and movies are. Start a fun discussion. Is there anything I'm forgetting? Just let me know, fellas. But this has been a fun Friday. I've enjoyed talking about all of our TV and fantasy. Anything you guys want to say to close us out for this show?
Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and hit us up on all social media at SNH Pod.
Absolutely. So we wish you, I don't know what I'm going to say. I was going to say good
Merry
journey,
Christmas.
but that's Masters of the Universe. Good journey. That is actually, my family does say that when we leave. Good journey. I do love Masters of the Universe. So thank you, everybody. We have been the Shorts and Hoodies crew, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Oh. cut the check.